Chapter 599, Pave the Way. Chapter 599, Pave the Way. Venerable Sure, this is horrible. Venerable Sure enjoyed some fine wine under a pavilion, a smile tracing his lips as his plans came to a head. That was until the shout ruined his mood. Grand Elder scrambled over in a panic. Venerable Sure dissed him. Grand Elder, you've been through a lot at your age, yet a trifle riles you up? Trifle? Taken aback, Grand Elder asked, You know Venerable Sure? Venerable Sure grinned in pride. I planned for it. Ugh. Grand Elder stammered. You had those two go to their deaths? Grand Elder, how can you still not understand? Venerable Sure raised an eyebrow at his dumbstruck face. Think about it, the second and seventh elders went to make a mess of things in the labor office. I bet the place must be in turmoil right about now. But it's all fine with how loose they are, giving them some incentive will have most of them back with us. We'll then use the excuse of disturbing the sect to crush the elite labor office for good. Since they held the apology banquet, the chaos ensuing will be on them. Grand Elder nodded. Oh, that's what Sir means. Isn't that why you're here? Venerable Sure sipped his wine. Grand Elder scratched his nose. These matters are different, yet surprisingly the same. How come? The two elders did make a scene at the banquet per your orders? Grand Elder began. Venerable Sure nodded all naturally. And Grand Elder softly continued, though they ended up killed. Bang! The wine cup slipped and scattered to pieces on the floor. Venerable Sure turned an incredulous eye to Grand Elder. Gee, Grand Elder, see, can you repeat that? I said the two elders ended up getting killed at the banquet. Grand Elders repeated disillusioned Venerable Sure. How? W had the gall to do such a thing? No venerable has such a right. A venerable would have been much better, at least would give us an excuse. But, Grand Elder shook his head in sorrow, the one to do the deed was a disciple in plain sight too. He used the rules to challenge and kill them so that we can't touch him. Venerable Sure trembled like a leaf. A disciple? Who is it? Who can kill ethereal stage elders? Since when did our sect have such a disciple? Who else but Juafan? Grand Elder shrugged as he explained everything. Venerable Sure slumped in his chair. A bloody feast, it was premeditated, a trap all along. There's no such thing as apologizing in advance. This was done with full intent of the crime. In regards to this, Juafan planned on killing the two from the start. But he did it flawlessly. Grand Elder sighed. He first went to challenge the elite area using the same rule that states in a duel between different statuses there are no repercussions. No matter how much damage he caused, it'll be those three venerables dealing with it, not us. But Juafan soothed them as well. Then the kid challenged the elders and under the eyes of everyone, they died, all for nothing too. We can't use this to get to him. Venerable Sure's face sank in rage. That devious punk played us. But that pales when he has the power to threaten us. He even killed two ethereal stage elders to prove it. This never happened in the history of the sect. It will make him the single most important figure in the sect. And with the double dragon gathering on our doorstep, he'll have the sect at his whim. He is a great genius that might even get us in the middle three sects at the double dragon gathering. Grand Elder sighed. Venerable Sure's eyes glinted. What's the point if it's not on our side? We'll only suffer for it. Then, Grand Elder probed. Dang. The meeting bell answered for him and Grand Elder's words were drawn out. It's the inner sect meeting. The sect leader must have called for it. Who the hell else is there that would have the gall to mess with me and strike the bell? Venerable Sure felt more and more suffocated. Siawua saw his dog got some awe under him and wants to promote the punk for it. He wants to send him to the elite area. What do we do? Grand Elder asked. Venerable Sure sighed. Nothing. By killing our two elders, he established his worth and might. Now even some elders and venerables from the inner sect see hope for the sect in him. The brat has earned great merit and advancement is imminent. All we can do is bide our time. Grand Elder's brow shook. Venerable Sure spat. I know Xie Wu like the back of my hand. He's uplifting Zhuofan for the Double Dragon gathering. But once it passes, Zhuofan's talent will threaten his status. We just have to wait for when they'll be at odds and each other's throat, while we will be laying low until they do. Grand Elder pondered and nodded with glinting eyes. An hour later, in the Grand Hall, Xie Wuyue was on his throne bearing a majestic vibe, with the elders and venerables on either side of him. Even 3 fiends of hell were among them. The sour venerable Shi looked at Xie Wuyue's wide grin, laughing in the end. Something amazing happened today, the new replacing the old. A disciple challenged 2 inner sect elders, a testament to the promising new generations, to the demon-scheming sect's great new future and glory. The oldies' faces twitched on cue. We just had 2 of our elders killed in cold blood, and you call that an achievement? It's brazen humiliation, is what this is. While the labor office's oldies were smugger than ever, joining in sect leaders' joy. Xie Wuyue saw Venerable Shi was still brooding and continued, now all of you know of Zhuofan's might, and I can assume there'll be no objections in having him participate in Double Dragon gathering, will there? No. The labor office's side echoed and the inner sect remained silent, their eyes converging on Venerable Shi. Yet Venerable Shi was like a stone. Zhuofan doesn't want to be elite while requesting for the Double Dragon gatherings participants to be from the labor office. That is the only condition for joining the gathering. Xie Wuyue eyed Venerable Shi in doubt. The entire hall exploded with noise. The labor office's side supported Zhuofan, of course, while the inner sect was totally against it. Sect leader, it's against every rule. Sect leader, the brat is conceited and should rein him in instead of indulging him. Sect leader, the rules are clear and must be upheld. They all voiced their strong objections to this outrageous proposal. Enough! Venerable Shi sneered and the hall was silent. Venerable Shi's eyes flashed. The rules have always been made to pave the way for the strong. Since it was Zhuofan's request, I agree. No way. Everyone was slack-jawed, Xie Wuyue included. What is the old weasel up to this time? Chapter 600, Relocating. Chapter 600, Relocating. Silent as the grave. Did Venerable Shi wake up on the wrong side of the bed today? Why is he on Zhuofan's side? Allies and enemies alike were stunned, watching the old-timer as a cow looked at a new gate. Have I said something wrong? Venerable Shi smiled at the rest. Only a blind man can't see Zhuofan's talent. He is the best chance our sect has in Double Dragon gathering. We have to remove all obstacles for him to join it, including this quaint rule. Ugh. The stunned silence persisted for a good while. Wuyue had to blink again and again to gain some semblance of reasoning back. Venerable Shi is quite right. I agree. The Double Dragon gatherings candidates shall be chosen from the elite labor office, with Zhuofan in charge. The inner, outer, and elite areas are to cooperate. That is good and all, but we guide the elite area's disciples for the Double Dragon gathering. With how the candidates are chosen from the elite labor office, do we still hold our posts? Fiend Yang asked. Having received Zhuofan's good-natured gifts, they never opposed such a decision, and Xie Wuyue had planned for the kid to be the team leader from the start. All the more, since Zhuofan had such a wild reputation and everyone's side. No matter what ruckus he stirred, it'd be swept under the rug. He even got the right to choose his teammates. All this old fiend could do was fall in line. As long as there was no conflict of interest or principles, Xie Wuyue would be behind him all the way. This was the power of bribes. Why else would a sect leader accommodate some guy by even changing the rules? All rules were, at the end, made by the strong for the strong. Xie Wuyue scratched his nose. The kid can take you in, and it'll be all the same. Having the 3 of you in the labor office where there are already so many more venerables won't harm it. The trio shrugged. The day had come that these venerable coaches had to balk at the whims of a disciple. It never happened in the history of the demon-scheming sect, not once. While the inner sect's oldies' hearts jumped. No matter how godlike Zhuofan was, he was still a disciple. With such authority behind him, he could even affect the other oldies' fate. That was a bitter pill to swallow. Though a glance at Venerable Sure told them they had nothing to worry about and sighed in the end. If their boss was silent, all they could do was follow. The decision came to pass, and after ironing in some more details, the meeting came to a close. Ah, how times have changed. The lowest rung of a sect, a mere labor office, has now become its center, even above the elite area. Yet those rotten laborers are still sweeping the disciples and mine lodgings. What's so hard to accept? That side had sported a sudden monkey that even challenged the elite area. The entire sect sees him as the apple of their eye, even fonder than their ancestors. And all to regain the sect's dignity and interests in Double Dragon Gathering. I reckon you'd be flaunting him by now if he was your disciple. When all is said and done, might makes right. The elders and venerables gossiped in groups of 3 or 5, grumbling and complaining as they left the hall. Left alone with Venerable Sure, Steward turned a quizzical eye at the old man. Did the world flip, Venerable Sure, to take my side? Ha, a sect leader, you jest. When have I ever gone against you? I only ever argue for the good of the sect. I hope sect leader is kind enough to overlook my past transgressions. Zhuo Fan is beyond anything anyone could expect, earning the public's favor. I only hope he can take our sect higher. Venerable Sure bowed. Steward eyed him with the complete skepticism his position came bearing. Venerable Sure chuckled. If that is all, sect leader, I shall take my leave. Steward had never said anything all this time. But the old man turned just as he was about to cross the door with a crafty smile. Ha, sect leader, you were right about one thing. The new replaces the old. But his drive may be too strong. Today he has the sect change the rules for him. Tomorrow, he'd have a certain someone's chair. What's that supposed to mean? Steward roared. Venerable Sure grinned. Just the ramblings of an old man, sect leader. Venerable Sure left laughing with another bow. With the new replacing the new, I wonder just how far it will go, how decrepit will the old become. Ha! Damn geezer. This chapter is updated by Freewebben, oh, vel cm. Steward spat his knuckles white. The more he thought about it, the more he saw Zhuo Fan's power within the sect taking root. His speed was too fast even for this sect master's comfort. The decision spread to the entire sect, leaving inner and outer disciples dumbstruck. The elite labor office had only been a lure so far for a shift in power in the sect, yet its status was still in the lowest rung. The only reason disciples forwent its bad name was because of free stuff. Yet it hadn't been long since it formed, and it already stood above the elite area, holding the right to judge Double Dragon Gatherings candidates. It meant there was no getting into the elite labor office without strength any longer. Only the best of the best entered the elite area, but now that the elite labor office had authority, the entrance would be all the harsher. The chances were next to nothing. The ever-spectating inner and outer disciples were now hating their guts for the previous indecision of joining the elite labor office. It took just a couple of months for the lame elite labor office to become all the rage. While laborers grew cockier and more confident, especially when the 3 coaching venerables led a gaggle of elites to join elite labor office after passing Zhuo Fan's strict testing. If they were any more stuck up, their heads would reach their ass. It was they who used to resort to any means to get into the elite area. But lo and behold how the tables had turned, with the elites turn to do the same thing. And all of this came to be by the grace of one laborer, Steward Zhuo Fan, the manager of the elite labor office. His popularity spiked then and there, to the point of being worshipped. But while the labor office was enjoying the high life, the inner and outer disciples were down in the dumps. All because of Zhuo Fan's order. Even elite laborers are to sweep the floors. The entire sect couldn't afford to mess with him. Bam! A vase crumbled to pieces as it made intimate contact with the hard, cold floor. Kuei Lang picked up the broom and swept the remains while looking sullen at a corner. Your vase. That's a high-class china worth a hefty sum. The youth cried. Kuei Lang barked. What's a damn cultivator wasting spirit stones on these damn decorations? You've soured my mood, now get out and let me clean. Oh no, 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 Senior Brother Kuei Lang, this is my fault. I could never have you. Shut it. Steward Zhua gave us a job, and we're to sweep the sect clean. Are you trying to make me slack on the job and get punished? Scram. Kuei Lang glared. The youth ran like the wind, though just outside the door, watching in anxiety and nervousness. The room ended up eliciting a wondrous symphony of sounds, from the dullest to the sharpest. In under 15 minutes, Kuei Lang strutted out with the broom in tow. Now it's spotless. I'll leave the rest to you. Thank you so much, Senior Brother. The youth bowed and Kuei Lang left with a puffed-up chest. The youth went in to watch a horror show. The table was only good for tinder now, and the walls sported extra-large breathing holes. This is not sweeping, but demolition. Thinking about how he'd get his room cleaned every day brought a dark cloud over his face. The guy was on the verge of tears. Is there no presentable laborer out there? Well, the good ones were sent to the oldies, while the best of the best, the elite laborers, went to inner and outer disciples' homes. Having never done this, they tended to put too much oomph into it, resulting in this wonderful work of art yet unique every time. Though the demolition men knew full well no inner and outer disciple would dare make a peek as they went to work. Since the elite labor office was the cream of the crop in the sect, everyone was dying to join. No matter how they grumbled, they couldn't even fight back, not when it would only get them killed. Laborers had the sect rules at their back, yet the power of elites. It was so ridiculous that not even oldies messed around. I will definitely get in the labor office tomorrow. The youth couldn't take it anymore, but then recalled his meager strength and sighed. With so many vying to get in, the labor office now holds a test to take in only the best. Chapter 601, Demon Soul Sex Visit. Chapter 601, Demon Soul Sex Visit. The hazy rays of the morning sun shone upon a small little courtyard. The imposing and immovable figure stood upright like a statue. The only change happening was his shadow, shrinking as the sun rose. He had been standing there for 7 days, unmoving and silent. His thick, brutal aura kept anyone at bay, sending them shivering. A faint tune wafted over as some small-time elder passed over. The statue's ears twitched, and his eyelid trembled, turning his head. "Elder Yuan, you're back." The statue wanted nothing else but to spew curses, but thought better of it, opting for a respectful reply. Elder Yuan started, then grinned, skipping over, Sir Guihu, what would you need of me? Guihu frowned, lost for words. Zhuofan and Kuei Lang did say this guy was more than it seemed, but he just couldn't figure out how. The old man was just that old and average. He had always been subservient and flattering like any other nobody, and made it all the harder for the grand top inner sect disciple to bend a knee and ask for help. Zhuofan's words of respect for the old coot rang in his mind once again, and his discomfort faded. Throwing his little pride away meant nothing when Zhuofan got off his high horse to debate with this guy. Guihu stammered at long last, "Elder Yuan, Steward Zhua had sent me for advice in the way of the heart. Please enlighten me." Guihu flushed in an instant, dying of embarrassment for speaking like a 3-year-old. Elder Yuan raised an eyebrow, then smiled. Very well done to have overcome your hubris in talking to little old me. This act alone marks great progress in your near future. Being next to Zhuofan for so long does have its perks. How come his mood changed? Guihu was dumbstruck, seeing the old Yuan losing his ingratiating air of a nobody and gaining an air of mystery. His eyes were so deep that Guihu felt like he was sinking into a bottomless well. Who the hell is this guy? What's with the labor office hiding so many freaks? Guihu's heart jumped. Elder Yuan's imposing aura left him feeling a majestic air that not even his master or venerable Shi could unleash. Guihu, come, I shall impart to you the way of the world. Elder Yuan smiled as he walked deeper into the labor office. Guihu was right behind him. Elder Yuan stopped before an ant mound, seeing those busy little critters carrying food. He said, "How would you go about killing these ants?" Guihu was baffled. With a stomp, how else? Right you are. These little creatures can die just from that. Try it. Elder Yuan held his beard with a vague smile. Gue who did as he was told despite the increasing doubt about where this was going. When he lifted his foot, he saw tens of ants dead, but some crawled back up still, going about their way. Elder Yuan shook his head. See that? Someone slipped through. This is your current state, having power but no means to use it, making fighting even someone in the radiant stage like you a challenge. You've had your way in the inner sect all this time, not because you're strong, but because there was no real expert around. You will see that Double Dragon Gathering will have only people with a firm heart, especially those from the middle and superior 3 sections. Being pushed, they'll be sure to push back harder. Gue, who was flustered, urging Elder Yuan, What should I do? We come back to the same question. How to kill the ants. Elder Yuan leaned over and picked an ant. Your kick was casual because you took these ants for nothing. What if you were dying of hunger and these ants were the only thing around? Elder Yuan, I'm a radiant stage. I don't get, Gue who blinked. Elder Yuan shook his head. How thick-headed. I was only making an analogy. Or you can also take it as being a child and hungry. How would you have dealt with these ants? Gue who stared at the scurrying little bugs, and his eyes turned red. Yes, that's right, you'll eat them all, or you'll die. Elder Yuan nodded, releasing a bloodthirst so thick it left Gue who shivering, feeling icy water dumped over him. He turned a dumbstruck look to Elder Yuan, putting that ant in his mouth and swallowing. But the shocking bloodthirst continued, and doubt came then, who is this man? Elder Yuan held his beard with a smile. See, even when dealing with an ant, you must give your all or starve. You must find your own reason to kill, or you'll never give your all in killing anything. Heaven is cruel to all living things, yet also fair. Thus demonic and righteous paths coexist. The righteous love life and the demonic pursue slaughter. But killing must be done for life to give it meaning. Or slaughtering all in your path would end up consumed by it, erring from the right path. To pursue the path one must become demonic. That is the only way. Tell me, when you killed any disciple you came upon, was that your true strength? You do not even know what that even is. You've seen Zhuofan, his simple yet precise strikes, they all were meant to kill. Gue who shuddered and respect painted his always stern face for this old guy. Go, be a laborer like Zhuofan said and it will help your heart grow. Youth is arrogance, it is something every one of you has, and that goes double for talents. But the road is filled with twists and turns, and sometimes, it pays to show restraint. When you learn to do it like Zhuofan, you will have made progress. It will be of great help to you in future cultivation. Elder Yuan said. Gue who gave a deep bow and left. His leaving was followed by a clap. Clap. Ah, Elder Yuan's words ring true and home as always. It's the first time I heard you need to be demonic to thread the right path. I'll have to analyze it further. Elder Yuan smiled then shook his head. Steward Zhua, now don't make fun of these old bones. You're much better at it than me. How kind of you, Elder Yuan. I only wish to have a night chat with you. As Gue who waited 7 days for you, so have I. It happens to be a wait in vain. It's best if you return. Elder Yuan shook his head. Zhuofan raised an eyebrow. What purpose does this serve? That's my line. When did you get on Demon Soul Sect's bad side? They're at our door and asking for you. Elder Yuan shrugged. Zhuofan said, Third young Master Han. Him too, but someone else as well. His second brother, second young Master Han, is here to challenge the elite area. But that should be no problem to you. Elder Yuan nodded. Zhuofan mumbled. He's after my laborers. What man would come to poke in your labor office's affairs? Though sect leader had the labor office clean up the ring. It is your duty, but if you won't go, it'll have to be one of the elites. Zhuofan rolled his eyes and cursed as he left. Xiewe is forcing my hand. They came for the elite area, so why the hell are you dragging the labor office into this? It's not my fault. He's the sect leader paying attention to the sect's reputation. As the manager of the labor office, that's something you don't have to worry about. Elder Yuan chuckled. Chapter 602, Ghost Chasing Shadow. Chapter 602, Ghost Chasing Shadow. Bam! A youth got flung through the air in the great hall before hitting the ground with a crunch. Steward and the rest watched in cold silence while the disciples felt their legs shaking. You call this an elite demon scheming sect? They can't take one hit. The old man with black hair sat in the guest seat with a cold eye and a snicker. The youth next to him bore the same condescending look. Third brother, are you sure he was from the demon scheming sect? Beyond a shadow of a doubt, second brother. I heard those little shits even calling him Steward. A vicious youth in the center of the hall shouted, "Where the hell is that punk? Stop hiding like a coward and fight my second brother." Venerable sure held his nose. Elder Mo, you may be from a middle three sect, but that's no reason to force yourself in. I told you once, and I'll say it again. This is a sect, not a clan to have stewards. Why don't you pick from our extensive range of elders and venerables? We came here for my disciples' spar and to promote our sect's friendship. How is that possible between elders? Some will take it as an act of war instead. All the elders and venerables there turned glum, with Steward giving him a withering gaze. The Demon Soul sect might have status over them, but they were one of Tianyu's 3 guardian sections. Not some thug they can intimidate. Steward barked at the trembling disciples. What are you standing around for, and get in already? You're elites for crying out loud. Act like it. Lose and it's your life on the line. The disciples felt like crying. Oh, the humanity. What elites when the labor office stole all the good ones. We got nothing to fight Demon Soul sect's third young master with. With how third young master Han wiped the floor with them, there was no way even if they took turns they could beat second young master Han. Third young master Han sported a mocking smile. So these are the peak talents demon scheming sect has to offer. No wonder you were so lame in the last Double Dragon gathering. I alone might even win it the next time around, ha! Steward's anger reached a boiling point. Last Double Dragon gathering was the greatest pain for him, and now a damn punk was picking his scars. Elder Mo and second young master Han only sneered. You think you got what it takes to challenge the whole elite area? 3 people in rough clothes and holding a broom walked in. Chi Changlong was in front, with Bai Lian and Lu Xie at his sides. They were the best of the elite area, yet had to do menial tasks all the same after turning to the elite labor office. That included the work attire and tools. Third young master Han turned a skeptical eye over, finding them to be nothing more than a sect's nobodies that butted in his affairs. What was odd was how the elite area's other disciples here relaxed at their coming. Senior brother Chi, you're here. Any later and we'd be goners. Yeah, they're just too savage, always going for the kill. The elite area's disciples complained in anger and fear. Chi Changlong grew enraged, while the third young master Han was dumbstruck. The hell? Why are young masters pleading with beggars for help? What is demon scheming sect playing at? A single look at the slumped junior brother had Chi Changlong grasped the situation. The opponent was tough to even dispatch a 6th-layer Radiant Stage expert in one blow. He turned to third young master Han and found him in the 8th layer and shouted, I've long since wanted to meet you, third young master Han, if you would. Who? Third young master Han squinted and said, 9th layer Radiant Stage? What is your name? Labor Office's Chi Changlong. He snorted. Third young master Han turned to Elder Mo. Laborer. Since when do laborers achieve such cultivation? Demon scheming sect has no respect for talent to throw him into labor. But noticing the other 2 were of the same cultivation, he fell silent. Is that why the demon scheming sect always came last, because it ruins its talents? Not that he cared. Since they came to die, he was most accommodating. Third young master Han snickered. 9th layer Radiant Stage, this should be fun. Not that having 1 layer over me will be any damn good. You'll see soon enough. Chi Changlong attacked. Third young master Han replied with a palm strike. Bam! The 2 palms met, and third young master Han trembled in his spot. Chi Changlong had to stagger 10 feet back. How could this be? Chi Changlong was incredulous. How am I the weaker one when I'm above him in cultivation? Third young Master Han mocked. Ha! Oh, I saw all right. While a layer above me, your meridians are smaller than mine, all because of treatment. Do you have any idea how many pills I had to eat? And I started small too. How about you, did you get any even? This is the gap between our sect. And with the coming of Double Dragon Gathering, we'll only get farther ahead. There's no way a lower 3 sect will ever topple a middle 3 sect. All of the demon scheming sect trembled in rage. Third young Master Han saw the hard and stubborn faces of the trio and grinned. Don't believe me? Then come at me, all of you. That should bring you down to earth. You asked for it, so don't come crying when you lose. Chi Changlong knew he was the weaker one from that exchange and agreed. Third young Master Han snickered. You 3 aren't enough, even for a warm-up. Bastard! Chi Changlong snapped, and the trio shot for him. They exploded with power and unleashed devastating attacks that made all other elites hopeful. There's no way third young Master Han can take the combined attack of all of them. Second young Master Han and Elder Mo were calm as ever. Third young Master Han even smirked. Fetid flood. Meteor shower. Earth shatter. Green, white and yellow shone ever brighter, combining and bearing down on third young Master Han. His reply was to shimmer black and make a sign. Quasi-Earth ranked martial art, ghost-chasing shadow. Eerie black figures loomed around third young Master Han, wailing and shrieking as they lunged for the trio's attack. The 3 were sent flying, yet the shadows pressed the advantage, grabbing their heads. It was their turn to howl in pain from the agony. Third young Master Han grinned in pride. He wants to crush their souls. Venerable Bai cried out in worry. Venerable Chi was the same. Elder Mo saw them and chuckled in a most annoying way. Should elders and venerable be interfering in a disciples' fight? Or does the demon scheming sect not understand this most basic rule? Sect leader. The 2 venerables pleaded to Xie Wuyue with their eyes, but he was silent. He took the sect's reputation above anyone's fate, even the disciples. The venerables were in pain seeing their kin about to lose their souls. Their nails cut into their palms and drew blood. The more demonic the sect, the more strict the rules. Any violation would be met with swift demise. No one would save their kin now, not when both choices meant death all the same. Chapter 603, Encroachment. Chapter 603, Encroachment. Ooh! A strong wind blew just then, scattering the shadows from creeping any deeper into the 3's souls. And it kept going still, forcing third young Master Han on the defensive. Boom! The crushing force pushed him dozens of meters back, leaving cracked tiles in his wake. When he did stop, his feet were knee-deep in the floor. Who did that? Third young Master Han broke into a cold sweat, lowering his trembling arms to see. Second young Master Han and Elder Mo frowned, their gazes fixed on the thin youth coming in bearing a cold face and a broom. And by the feel of him, he was just a fresh radiant stage disciple. Third young Master Han was in shock, turning to his brother's second brother. That's him. You got nerve, kid, coming here again. Was last time not enough for you? Zhufan spared him a single glance before tending the trio. You aren't dead yet, now scram. A laborer's only job is to sweep, not be a pain in the ass seeking the limelight. What's their challenge on the elite area got to do with us? Zhufan had no restraint, but at least the trio was saved. They rubbed their aching heads and gave Zhufan a nod and a look of dread to third young Master Han before leaving without complaint. They knew all too well they were just too weak, even in a 3-on-1 exchange. Venerable Chi and Bai breathed easier. Zhufan spun on his heel and was already walking away. You think you can just come in here and leave after interfering? And who are you, an elder or venerable of the demon scheming sect? Zhufan threw over his shoulder at the youth resembling third young Master Han. Second young Master Han mocked. I am Demon Soul Sect's second young Master Han. I heard the demon scheming sect had a presentable disciple and came to be enlightened. May I be honored to know your name? Demon scheming sect's labor office's honcho, Fan. But everyone calls me Steward Zhua. Swishing the broom, Zhua Fan scoffed. Since you're no elder of mine, I don't have time to waste on you. I got work to do, bye. Hold it right there. Is this how you treat an honored guest? Second young Master Han shouted again at the gross lack of disrespect. Zhua Fan's mouth worked as he walked. An honored guest needs honored elders and venerables to look after. What are you doing going after this little old laborer for? We're here to sweep the floors, not tend to guests. It's not in our job description. Sect leader Xie, didn't you say I can challenge anyone in the sect? Second young Master Han turned to Xie Wei, seeing he was talking to a wall. Xie Wei gave a mocking nod. As long as you want to, second young master. Oh, I will. With red eyes and a sneer, second young Master Han jumped, ready to strike with his 2 fingers. Zhua Fan, let's see you get away now. Pseudo-earth-ranked martial art, underworld blade. Whoosh! An eerie energy shot from those fingers for Zhua Fan's head. The air shimmered as it passed, releasing creepy howls and sucking the warmth out of the hall. Venerable Shur cried, Demon Soul Sex Patron Art, the mystical soul art, underworld blade. I hear low ethereal stage experts will die all the same from a peak radiant stage cultivator using this art. It's an art focused on killing. Xie Wei frowned and sighed. The Han clan's 3 young masters are all true talents. A shame the second one had to meet such a monster. All the oldies snickered alongside. Elder Mo had full confidence in second young Master Han, but soon found the demon scheming sect's higher-ups were sporting grins. You're telling me an attack to kill an ethereal stage expert isn't enough to crush a radiant stage cultivator? Not like anyone told him Zhua Fan just a few days back killed 2 elders like nothing. Second young Master Han could only kill early ones too, making the whole of demon scheming sect's echelon find him sorely lacking. As the blade came for Zhua Fan's head, he brushed with his broom behind him. Roar! The draconic roar crushed the blade like a hammer smashing a needle and then went for second young Master Han himself. The young master got flung way up high and left a trail of blood in his wake. Though he gnashed his teeth to bear through the pain as his body shook all over. Second young master, Elder Mo started. Second young Master Han signaled him back, watching the smug sweeper with shock and fear. Third young Master Han got his trembling feet under him and sported the same look of dread as his brother. Is he even human? How can a fresh radiant stage cultivator take down second brother in a single strike? Body strength aside, is his soul that freakish too? How are we supposed to compete with such perfection? The added mockery of Zhua Fan only amplified the fear. Zhua Fan snickered. Now the hall is clean. Don't make it dirty. Second young Master Han was outraged, but he was choking on blood and couldn't retort. Zhua Fan sported the same condescending smile as he left with a snort. Xie Wei was overjoyed. Never had he been made to look so good. Elder Mo, sorry, he's just too rude. That's why I left him in the labor office. I hope you can forgive the offense. Oh, so sect leader Xie is in the hobby of demoting strong disciples. Elder Mo snorted. Are you going to have them join the Double Dragon gathering? What do you think? Xie Wei smirked. Elder Mo nodded with a small bow. Then we shall disturb you no further and will meet again at Double Dragon gathering. Farewell. Farewell. Xie Wei showed him the door. Elder Mo flicked his sleeve and took his disciples. The oldies cracked up when they were gone. Ha, look at them. They're in the middle 3 sects, yet never saw them so wretched. Don't get too happy. There's still no pushovers. Xie Wei sneered. They came to probe us. Zhua Fan must have messed with third young Master Han and they came to assess the threat. They just accomplished their objective. Won't that mean we're exposed? Venerable Bai frowned. Xie Wei waved his hand. Such a flimsy cover wouldn't have lasted anyway. It's best to reveal it spectacularly like today. To tell them my sect aims for a middle 3 sect position. Brilliant, sect leader. The elders bowed. A disciple burst in shouting. Beast-taming sect's elders and disciples request an audience. Beast-taming sect now? The elders looked baffled. What is with today, sect encroachment? Xie Wuyue mocked. Just another scouting party. Last time we took 3 of their elders in Tianyu, so they want to do us in at the Double Dragon gathering. What's there to fear of another lower 3 sect like us? One elder cursed, just sick Shuofan on them and that's that. Fool. Xie Wuyue showed a nasty smile. We need to show off to the middle 3 sects so that they don't kick us around, but for the lower 3 sects, the secret weapon, Shuofan, is not to be divulged. They'll bite more than they can chew when he shows himself in the Double Dragon gathering. They all exclaimed and admired him. Brilliant! Chapter 604. Target Middle 3 Sect. Chapter 604. Target, Middle 3 Sect. Bam! A figure in fine clothes and bright colors got flung out of the hall with a bang. Again. Blood flowed, and the body banged up and rolled 3 times on the ground. Yes, but he was still alive at least. What faced him was a buffed man in gray robes with a snickering look sent at the rest of the disciples around. Is demon scheming sect's elite area that's short-handed to have only your waists? The disciples watched the 8th layer radiant stage thug with anger. But the sight of sect leader's cold face had them bury it deep. For crying out loud. The elite area isn't short-handed, it's that damn labor office taking everyone good from us. First was 3rd young Master Han and now this cocky bastard. The only reason you're still standing is because the sect leader doesn't let us get Shuofan, or even Qi Changlong could waste you, you pompous prick. Regardless of their thoughts, Xie Wuyue's glare let them know not to do that. A grizzled old man looked smug. Sect leader Xie, I hear the elite area has many fine geniuses. How come I don't see them? Elder Lu is too kind. What you see here is all my sect has in terms of elites for your disciple to spar with. Are you not satisfied? Xie Wuyue faked anger. The old guy admitted, sure you're not hiding some? My great sect has nothing to hide. Or is Elder Lu doubting my words? Xie Wuyue slammed the table. The elder's eyes darted to and fro then nodded. With sect leader Xie's prestige, such a lie is beneath you. I of course believe you. Xie Wuyue spoke with a dark face. Then I shall no longer disturb you. Please forgive my presumptuous tone. Elder Lu eyed Xie Wuyue one last time as he bowed and left. He said to the thug on his way, Hui Xiong, let's go. We best not overstay our welcome. Thank you, sect leader Xie, for accommodating us and the sparring. Thank you, sect leader Xie, for reading these punching bags. While useless, they did get me worked up. You've been far too kind. Hui Xiong cupped his hand with a snicker. Xie Wuyue's face was ghastly though no word slipped. Elder Lu grinned, throwing more biting remarks. Hui Xiong, that's no way to treat sect leader Xie. You can't be so blunt about it no matter how true it is. They are going to fight in the Double Dragon gathering and hold some flimsy hope still. Goodbye. Having enough theatrics for one day, Xie Wuyue shouted. Elder Lu waved dismissively as he left with his grinning disciple. They just cut the corner and Xie Wuyue in the hall showed a devious grin. A bunch of ignorant fools, we'll see who laughs last at the Double Dragon gathering. The oldies joined him in rambunctious laughter. They were dying to see Shuofan wiping that ridiculous grin off their faces, preferably with blood. That got them giddy. Ha! A mile off demon scheming sect, 2nd young Master Han spat blood again, his face blanching. Second brother, I told you we should have asked big brother, but you just wanted to show off. Now look at what became of you. Both of us suffered from the same prick. 3rd young Master Han lamented his brother's fate. 2nd young Master Han glared, quit it. How was I supposed to know that a nobody lower 3 sect would have such a sicko? Based on his strength, no one in the radiant stage can take him on. Our only hope against him lies with the eldest young master in the ethereal stage. Elder Mo's eyes flashed. At least we made some use of this time, probing demon scheming sect. It's definitely aiming for middle 3 sect status. We have to keep our own position at all costs, come what may. The Han brothers nodded. 2 figures walked over. He, master, now we can rest easy. The demon scheming sect has nothing but punching bags. I'll run through them in the Double Dragon Gathering to pay them back for the humiliation in Tianyu. I'll make them stay in the lower 3 sects forever. What brash talk. We, Demon Soul Sect, are stressed out from that freak and you want to run him through? What are you, a superior 3 sect? The Han brothers turned glum and Elder Mo flashed before the two figures peeked. Who's there? Elder Lu and Hui Xiong jerked back, startled at the figure's eerie vibe. Demonic cultivator. I come from Demon Soul Sect. Elder Mo nodded. Who are you, and did you come from the demon scheming sect? Elder Lu rushed to reply. I am but an elder in the beast taming sect. Here is Hui Xiong. As you said, we come from the demon scheming sect. Why did you go there? Elder, I took my disciple to spar. Spar? Elder Mo sized Hui Xiong up and found him only in the 8th layer radiant stage, period, nothing else special. Did it go that easy? Master and disciple shared a most egotistical grin if the elder ever saw one. Hui Xiong even puffed up his chest in absolute pride. Demon scheming sect is nothing. In less than 10 moves, I wiped the floor with them. The demon scheming sect is not worth the trouble in the Double Dragon Gathering. Our real opponent is Mystical Heaven Sect. Everyone? In 10 moves? Second young Master Han glared. I ended up sucking pavement from 1 hit and you think you can take that guy on? Third young Master Han was puzzled. Is this guy an even freakier monster? And asked, which disciples did you defeat? The strongest, the elites. Hui Xiong stuck out his chest harder, if possible. The Han brothers found one profound truth in his words. Did you meet any labor? Labor? Whatever for. What do the lowest of the low have to match my greatness? Hui Xiong snorted. The trio shared a knowing smile. They're the fools all right. What's wrong? Elder Lu bowed. Elder Mo deflected, nothing at all. Just thinking how such a genius from the beast-taming sect dealt with all elites from the demon-scheming sect, you truly are worthy of becoming the best among the lower 3 sects in the Double Dragon Gathering. Naturally. Among the lower 3 sects, we are the best. Hui Xiong hit his chest, feeling more pride swelling in his bloated head. Elder Mo's side laughed harder. Hui Xiong took it as if they were laughing with him. While Elder Lu found it off, why does it sound condescending? Elder Mo gave a wave and they left, leaving the other elder stumped with his disciple. Third young Master Han mocked. Those two are the biggest idiots I've ever seen. The demon scheming sect left nothing out. They will suffer the most in the Double Dragon Gathering. Xie Weiyue played them like a fiddle. No one will ever expect the strongest disciple of the demon scheming sect to be coming from their lowest rung. The only reason we didn't fall for it as well is because of forcing them to call Zhuofan over. The more reserved Xie Weiyue is, the more it shows his great ambition for the Double Dragon Gathering. Elder Mo scratched his beard in thought. The Han brothers nodded. The demon scheming sect's aim was clear, the middle 3 sect position. And the one to fall would be the lowest in the middle 3 sects. Chapter 605, Double Dragon Gathering. Chapter 605, Double Dragon Gathering. In a quaint room, Zhuofan sat on his stone bed with his eyes closed and a raging azure flame on his forehead. Deep in his mind, a prismatic dragon with the same azure flame on its forehead rested with its eyes closed. Its majestic figure brimming with more power with every flicker of the flame. Zhuofan flashed his eyes open and shook all over as his aura exploded. The dragon's soul did the same and roared, the azure flame covering it and turning the dragon into a flaming dragon, spreading the flames in every corner of his mind. Roar! Zhuofan howled at the heavens for a full 15 minutes. Zhuofan took a deep breath and took a feel of his boosted power. 3 months was all it took to reach the 2nd layer. Training the soul with azure flame is way faster than any cultivation method out there. And with azure flame and dragon soul combined, his soul achieved perfection, making his soul attacks even deadlier. Steward, may these old bones come in? An aged voice had Zhuofan quicken eyebrow. Venerable Bai, please. A flick of the hand had the array torn down, and with a point, the crude wooden door opened. Venerable Bai smiled, and his eyes brightened at his advance with a cup of his hands. Ha, congratulations, Steward Zhua. Oh my, you're moving up in the world in just 3 months. Steward Zhua is a true gem in this cultivation world. So many so-called geniuses would be dying of envy. You're too kind, Venerable Bai. I'm just putting in a little bit more effort than the rest. I always tell these youngsters my success came from slow and steady progress, devoted day and night to one goal. But all they want are my pills. Such feisty children. Zhuofan shook his head. Venerable Bai's cheek twitched at his touch of the dramatic. Good frickin' actor. The world is saturated with those going at it harder than you, but do you see any other freak around? While having talent is innate, it gives you no right dangling before others. Zhuofan smiled. Venerable Bai, to what do I owe this visit? Why aren't you speaking? Why do you think so? Venerable Bai shook his head. Steward Zhua, sect leader, and the 3 coaching venerables have asked for you. But with you being in seclusion, they haven't disturbed you. Judging from the sound the array gave, they figured you advanced and sent word. Oh, thank you for waiting for me, Venerable Bai. Zhuofan bowed most respectfully. Venerable Bai smiled. It's my duty. Why does sect leader need me? Well, Venerable Bai gathered his thoughts. Sect leader and the coaching venerables are asking, so it must be related to Double Dragon Gathering. Zhuofan nodded. Xie Weiyue treated the event with such importance he never told him anything. For him to ask about my situation, he must be ready to set off. Zhuofan squinted. Leaving Venerable Bai, Zhuofan went for the hall to find Xie Weiyue and the fiends waiting. Xie Weiyue smiled, finally showed up. What can I say? I needed a few days to enter the second layer of the radiant stage. Zhuofan shrugged. Xie Weiyue nodded. I know that. Venerable Bai told me. Why else do you think you're not punished for denying my summons? Zhuofan remained silent, taking a random seat. Xie Weiyue's face sank. The prick still has no respect after all this time, not even for me. Let's calm down, he still has his uses. Xie Weiyue gnashed his teeth. Fiend Yang laughed. Zhuofan, you're advancing so fast, a true talent. We aren't ones to nitpick slights from such geniuses. Rules are made for the strong after all, right Weiyue? You're one to talk, having the same attitude decades ago. I thought I told you it's sect leader. Xie Weiyue glared. Fiend Yang chuckled. Xie Weiyue went down to business. Zhuofan, Double Dragon Gathering is just around the corner, and there are some things you should know about it. Figured as much. Zhuofan nodded. Fiend Yang continued. Zhuofan, to talk about Double Dragon Gathering we need to start with the world situation. Have you ever heard of a sacred spirit stone mine? I have one on my finger. However, he was curious how the mortal domain even heard of a sacred mine. But to avoid suspicion, what is that? Haha, coming from a backward place like Tianyu, of course you'd not know. The 4 chuckled, with Fiend Yang explaining, Sacred Spirit Stone Mine is the place where an even greater spiritual energy gathers, greater than any spirit stone can hold. The mining is harsh, but it has great applications in arrays, soon making it the target of every sect and empire on these lands. And this world has 5. You're serious? Zhuofan gasped. Sacred spirit mines made sacred stones, a rarity even in the sacred domain such that every grand clan monopolized them to the point not even a demonic emperor like him could get one. Yet here he was, in the mortal domain with 5 of them. Wonder if the clans there would be invading it en masse at the news. Though it got him thinking from another angle. For the land to give birth to sacred mines, it had to have thick spiritual energy. Why was the mortal domain so thin instead? While the 4 had an even greater reaction to his reaction. Didn't he just say he doesn't know? Why so jumpy? Zhuofan gave a strained laugh. For the sacred spirit mine to be so precious it must be quite rare. Yet there are 5 of them? One can hardly be divided while 5 makes it even easier. Zhuofan, you're no fool. You call 5 mines for the entire world many? Zhuofan eyed him. Plus, sacred spirit mines are in a different class from common spirit mines. A spirit mine assists one's cultivation, and even without it, a cultivator can just take the spiritual energy from the air. He can go anywhere with a bit of talent. While a sacred spirit mine assists your cultivation and improves your constitution. It's the best ingredient to grow experts. That's what makes it invaluable. Why else do you think middle 3 sects and superior 3 sects are so powerful? Zhuofan turned solemn. They use sacred stones for cultivation. Right you are. This is the basis behind Double Dragon Gathering. Fiend Yang nodded. The 5 mines are split between eastern lands, western lands, southern lands, northern lands, and central area. To defend their sacred mine, each area's power formed a union. We belong to the 10-sect alliance of the western lands, with Double Dragon Manor as our head. While it might be like a sect, it is not, because it has no disciples. It is more of a group formed of strong people, our strongest force in western lands. They guard the mine against any invaders. To raise the power of western lands, Double Dragon Gathering holds a Double Dragon Gathering every 3 centuries, selecting the best seeds to groom in the Double Dragon Gathering. Xie Weiyue picked up, however, they do not take these disciples for themselves, returning them after a decade or 2. But even a decade under their teachings and sacred stone cultivation will earn one more progress than simple cultivating for centuries. It will be of great benefit for the future, while the chosen disciples sect will be greatly rewarded as well. Zhuofan's eyes jumped. The sole purpose of Double Dragon Gathering is to protect western lands, to prepare for war. While the 9 sects, to raise themselves, participated in it, wishing their disciples were chosen, raised for free into experts, while also earning a big profit for themselves. That explains their almost fanatic desire for growth. No one knew more about sacred stones than him. Take a plain OL, spiritual gathering array and supply it with sacred stone and you'd have a sect with the same environment as those in the sacred domain, to raise dozens of talents. Who could possibly resist the allure? Certainly no man, and without a doubt no sect. Chapter 606, Set Off. Chapter 606, Set Off. If it's just to raise experts, why aren't the sacred mines divided among the sects and give everyone a share? Zhuofan asked, won't it make defending western lands easier? The 4 had bitter smiles, with Fiend Yang sighing, I wish it were that easy. The mines are oddities of nature to such a degree that it makes mining them hard and slow, and that is only at the fringe. Not even the strongest man in these lands can pierce that tough wall. It forces us to wait for a few centuries before we can mine just a bit of it. Someone planted it. Zhuofan nodded. Be it your average spirit mine or sacred mine, all had their quintessence focused in the center. And the crucial part of these 5 sacred mines was behind a barrier someone placed beforehand, leaving the sacred stones outside of it for the others. In other words, the sacred mines have an owner, no native of the mortal domain, that's for sure. Zhuofan understood everything. I see what makes Double Dragon Gathering so important. When do we set off? In a week. Xie Weiyue said, you have 7 days to pick your team from among the disciples to fight in the Double Dragon Gathering for our sect. The higher you rank, the more we will earn. I hope, with your strength, that the demon scheming sect will become a middle 3 sect. Zhuofan nodded. We're going alone. The fiends will take you. Just 3 venerables? Zhuofan raised an eyebrow at the trio. Aren't we the future of the sect? Fiend Yang shrugged and laughed. Zhuofan, leave it to us. Every sect does the same, sending a couple venerables at most. Not even sect leaders can come, afraid too many experts join and affect the meeting. This is a rule of Double Dragon Manor. Oh. Zhuofan nodded. This way at least the disciples can fight to their heart's content. Too many old coots glaring at you from the side will only put bigger pressure on the disciples. How can one conduct a normal match when you have to mind some old guy's thirst for revenge? Double Dragon Manor's rule made perfect sense. You're free to go. You'll be going in a week. Xie Weiyue waved him off. The three fiends of hell bowed and left. Zhuo Fan was doing the same but paused. Xiaoyue, we need to talk. That sect leader. Xiaoyue's face twitched, but all he could do was sigh. What is it then? Zhuo Fan said flatly, Sect leader, our agreement was to enter the demon scheming sect in exchange for the 9th grade pill. I have done my part and only left Double Dragon Gathering to finish. Afterward, I want to know if you'll return my freedom. What's so bad about the demon scheming sect that you want to leave? You're practically a star here and may even go higher in rank sooner or later, at the peak of your career. Even my position isn't out of your reach. Patting his throne, Xiaoyue snickered. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Home is where your heart is. Without some sort of promise from sect leader, my mind will be affected and will harm my performance at Double Dragon Gathering. You're threatening me? Xiaoyue scoffed, though only giving a stink eye. Fine, since you don't like it here, I won't force you to stay. You can go to the Luo clan. But make damn sure few people are going to Double Dragon Manor. Everyone will laugh if you leave and I'll have no successor. Zhuo Fan was in a tight spot. You saw it yourself, the top 3 elites are no match against 3rd young Master Han even combined. While I alone can deal with middle 3 sex people, getting the others in Double Dragon Manor. Is that a no? Xiaoyue mocked. Then why are you wasting time talking to me? Once you leave, I'll be left with weaklings. Even if we get to be a middle 3 sect, are these disciples supposed to be representing us? To be blunt, your strength is worth shit. If you can't take those brats along, don't ever think about leaving. You'll stay here, leading. Ugh. Zhuo Fan jerked and Xiaoyue grinned. Is that too hard, perchance? Didn't you raise Yue and Kuei gang quite fast? The 2 kids are good, yes, but it was done with resolve, harshness, and peril. Those wastrels won't. Zhuo Fan's eyes darted everywhere. Well bro? Give me the word, the kind of word that'll threaten the oldies' power just how one might kill their grandkids. Eyeing him, Xiaoyue snickered, I know where you're going. Fine, you have free rein. Just make sure those brats don't drag you down. Xiaoyue threw him a jade token. Zhuo Fan saw the Xie character on it. That is my symbol of authority containing a trace of my soul. Every elder and venerable of the sect will treat any holder of it as me. The fate of the sect is at your whims. Holy shit, why the hell didn't you give me earlier? This bauble would have saved me heaps of time. Zhuo Fan giggled. Xiaoyue shook his head. When you just arrived you had nothing to your name and would only cause more trouble with the elders and venerables. While now you have strength and renown. And with this, they will respect you more. While some might fight it, they can't do much against my authority. If you had used this from the start to piss them off, Venerable sure would have used it as an excuse to get to me. Oh, wise and brilliant sect leader, I shall be going now. With this baby here, I'll put those brats in their place. Zhuo Fan had a positively killer grin as he left. Unaware of the cold eyes Xiaoyue had as he watched him go, Zhuo Fan, you're growing beyond my expectations. Perhaps it would be for the best if you leave after Double Dragon Gathering, huh? On the morrow, Zhuo Fan called for the coaching venerables and picked the disciples for Double Dragon Gathering. Qi Changlong's group of 3, the strongest elites, was the obvious choice. The rest came from the labor office, Ge Hu, Tai Ying, Yu Ling, and Kuei Lang. Yue and Kuei gang came as well with some other presentable disciples. The sect's barrier cracked open and Zhuo Fan took a deep breath as he stepped outside after so many years. The rest were excited to see the great outdoors as well. They finally got to sightsee after being stuck in the sect for most of their lives. The fiends had bitter smiles. Hey, Zhuo Fan, sect leader gave you a week to decide. Aren't you rushing things too soon? Fiend Yang worried. Zhuo Fan shrugged. What's wrong with now? I know their strength and have already made up my mind about who comes or stays. Fiend Yang nodded glumly, pointing at Kuei gang and Yue. I get the others, but why are these fresh radiant stage disciples needing demonic treasures to fight opponents along as well? They're my disciples. I'm only bringing them to see the world. Ugh. The fiends' faces twitched at Zhuo Fan finding logical explanations for everything. Dude, you're too pig-headed. We're going to fight to the death with other sects, yet you're bringing along your disciples for some sightseeing? What are you, tourists? Kuei Gang and Yuer chuckled. They knew by now Zhuo Fan's character. He'd do whatever he wanted and whenever. I won't have it. I'm telling sect leader about this. This is not a joke. Fiend Yang flicked his sleeve, turning to rat him out. Zhuo Fan revealed the token and its pressure on the 3 sect leaders' token. Go ahead and say your piece. To it or him is the same thing. Zhuo Fan dangled the token. You know what this thing does, no? So go back and report if you want. Humph, while I'll report your defiance for authority. See whose head will fall first. The 3 fiends' faces sank and lamented on the inside. Xie Wuyue, why did you give it to him? What kind of venerables would they be if they had to listen to Zhuo Fan now? Chapter 607, Zombie Pill. Chapter 607, Zombie Pill. The girls there giggled seeing the grand coaching venerables of the elite area so deflated. Some of the usually tough guys there trembled, and even the 3 ex-elites found it hard to stop laughing. What are you laughing at? We're discussing important matters here. Fiend Yang glared at the lot. Though it had the opposite effect, the fiends felt utterly stripped of respect. Zhuo Fan chuckled along, chiding, You think sect leaders' token's a joke? Go ahead and laugh it up, any more disrespect out of you, and you'll be crying next. Come, have a pill to lift your spirits. Zhuo Fan presented a vial with a soothing smell as everyone came over and their faces brightened. Master, another 7th grade pill? Kuei Gang cheered, turning to the others in pride. See that? Stick with Master, and you'll have nothing to worry about. I've taken more pills these days than in the last decade. And not one of them was below 7th grade. The rest were excited. Having gone to the labor office, which was being prepped for Double Dragon Gathering, they came to know what true heaven on earth was. It used to be only the elite area having such privilege, making inner and outer sects feel like hell. Gulping it down, everyone looked smug. The fiends were red in the face and jittery. Coming over, they poked his shoulder. What's this? Give us some too, and we won't tell on you. Nope, none for you. Zhuo Fan had a vague smile. Fiend Yang was getting more annoyed by the second. Zhuo Fan, where's that generous bribing style you used on sect leader gone too? You now have the prime opportunity to give us one as well. We're venerables for crying out loud. You're missing the point. The fact is, Zhuo Fan's trademark evil smile was back in business. If you take it, who'll protect them? I certainly can't. Protect? Ah. The scream came from Kuei Gang. His face froze, his body shivered, and his movement looked robotic, accompanied by trembling. Only his eyes moved freely and his tongue. Son, what the... Kuei Lang was the next victim, feeling his own body not listening to his commands. Soon came everyone's turn, everyone going to Double Dragon Gathering, crying and freezing on the spot. The venerables jerked in fright, turning to the culprit. Zhuo Fan, what is going on? Zhuo Fan beamed, dangling the empty vial. This is no mere 7th grade pill, but a poison. Ugh. Everyone had the same dumbfounded look. Zombie pill, it would stiffen your body and turn you to stone a month later. You're not serious. The poor saps were panicking with Kuei Gang crying, Master, why? Didn't I tell you? One must be intent on killing but never without his guard up. Why does no one listen to their master? Whoever told you a master will only give you nice things? Zhuo Fan sneered. Their faces sank, looking at Zhuo Fan like kicked puppies. He had such a homey look too, to invite them deeper into the trap of course. Compared to the glares they got from the venerables, Steward's insidious nature was much worse. Sharing poison with a smile, and they even thanked him for it. There were no dumber fools out there, that was for sure. Fiend Yang grabbed Zhuo Fan's chest. Why did you do it? Who will go to Double Dragon Gathering with them dead? Are you going to fight by yourself? Zhuo Fan dangled the token with utmost seriousness. Double Dragon Gathering is fraught with perils, you know that. Going as they are will only increase their chance of dying. It's best to have them die here at my hand instead. You call that logic? Can't we live a day longer? All had bitter looks in their eyes. Though it is not without hope. The zombie pill made you stiff and sapped your cultivation, but all you have to do is keep moving to delay the process. Hold on till Double Dragon Gathering and I'll cure you. As for the rest, tough luck. Jofan snickered. See this token? Sect leader appointed me as his representative. Your death will be for nothing and your big connections wasted. No one will touch me and I can do anything. You might as well give up begging now. I won't bat an eye even if you all die. Hi. Demon. They were all distressed and heartbroken while the fiends were stumped. If Jofan gave them a more deadly poison, they wouldn't let this one slide and might even take him from another sect's spy. By using slow-acting poison, Jofan was giving them a lesson, albeit cruel. Jofan sent a warning to the three. They're like newborns and will need your constant monitoring. The trio nodded. Jofan ran over to the other side and slapped his big perky, but I'll be waiting for you a mile out. Do your best not to die just as you got out of the sect, ha. He was gone the next second, leaving red tomatoes behind, gnashing their teeth as they made a jerky step forward. It was like having the whole world on their shoulders, moving at snail pace. But nothing compared to the rage. Steward Jua, you'll have another thing coming if you think we'll just drop dead. Tough talk for sure, but their body hardened so much that they only moved 1 meter in 15 minutes. The venerables felt like crying. I get that you want to train them, but couldn't you have picked a faster method? Even infants stumbled around faster than them. Just when are we supposed to get there, in decades? Jofan was chilling in his spot though. He fed them the zombie pill to petrify their flesh and force them into overcoming their limits. Once overcoming it, they'd move, then stiffen again and would have to go further still. On and on it went, toughening their bodies and veins in months that would take decades for others. Jofan thought of giving it a shot as well. Though it came with a biggie. He needed a guardian angel in this moment of weakness. In their states, being weaker than an infant would get them to drop dead from anything. He, a lone operator, had no way of taking the same route. Meanwhile, the other sects got ready for Double Dragon Gathering. The back mountain of Mystical Heaven sect was a towering hunk of rock, covered in biting winds and eternal snow. It was here a woman walked at leisure with a white sword towards a cave. She bowed. Senior sister, I am going to Double Dragon Gathering. Thank you for everything you have done for me in the past few years. The wind fluttered her dress, the snow pricking her cheeks. The time for Double Dragon Gathering came at long last. I wonder if he will come as well? A sigh came from the cave. Ching Ching, you represent me by wielding permafrost. Can I ask something of you? Anything, senior sister. Ching Ching bowed. Another sigh followed. If you meet any from the demon scheming sect, please go easy on them. I'd hate to see him hurt from my blade, although the blade is now with you. He brought me to this state yet also made me let go of all regrets. A pleasant voice came. Chapter 608, Every Sex Actions. Chapter 608, Every Sex Actions. Bang! In a damp and dark hall, lit only by a few torches on the sides, the shrieks of specters sent chills on one's spine. In the center of it all sat a table, 2 meters long and 1 meter wide, shaking and creaking as a middle-aged man slammed hard. Say that again. You just got trashed around by a mere labor? The buffed man stared at the trio. This is an outrage, an insult. Third young Master Han and second young Master Han's eyes met, but it was the former who spoke. Father, Labor Jofan is far more than he seems. I even doubt if there's anyone that can oppose him among his peers. Sect leader, I can attest to this, having bore witness to second young master's crushing defeat. Elder Mo bowed. The big man flicked his sleeve and roared, all I'm hearing are excuses. You lost, and not just to anyone, but a lower 3 sects disciple. You threw away all my honor. Tell me, son, how should you be dealt with? Trust father's judgment. Second young Master Han lowered his pained face. The hard man said, since you can't take a single hit, that makes one of your hands useless. Should I relieve you of it? Father, please, don't make second brother handicapped. Third young Master Han was nervous. The man eyed him with an icy glare. For those about to enter the ethereal stage, the body has lost its use. A mere arm will be nothing more than decoration. While I can let you keep it, you will have to endure 49 days on the burning pillar. You decide. Third young Master Han was ashen, looking at his second brother in worry. 49 days under scorching heat. It was akin to being burned alive. Third young Master Han cupped his hands to plead some more, but second young Master Han stepped in. Father, I choose the burning pillar. Second young Master Han bowed. The man nodded, appeased. That's how my son should act. A man must take responsibility for his failures. Wait. A glum-faced youth entered. Elder Mo bowed at once. Eldest young master. The youth nodded and addressed the tough man. Father, brother failed because the gap between them was too great. It's not his fault. But he lost to a lower three-sex disciple. Even lower than that, a laborer. What of it? The youth showed no fear in face of his father's mask of rage. A hero can come from anywhere. Strength is all that matters, not status. Losing to the strong is no dishonor, and with the approaching double dragon gathering, punishing second brother will harm his performance. We will then become the last among the middle three sects and the demon scheming sect's target. Elder Mo was clear on his strength, and father knows he has the qualities of a middle three sects genius. Status isn't everything. The towering man relinquished a nod. In view of double dragon gathering fast approaching, the punishment shall be postponed. Further evaluation will be given in light of your performance at the gathering. Thank you, father. Second young Master Han cupped his hands. The man nodded and left through a side door, pausing just before leaving. Eldest, what is your opinion of this sudden laborer from the demon scheming sect? A worthy opponent turning the boring double dragon gathering into something interesting, ha, the youth snickered. The man nodded and left. I have no hope of you getting us in the superior three sects, but the least you can do is maintain our position. In case the demon scheming sect does have the power to rise above its station, we'd better let others take the fall. Father is clearer than anyone on what this laborer signifies. The youth grinned and turned to his brothers. In a valley, a youth flashed in the open. He wore a blue robe, his eyes delicate and his aura strong. Taking a deep breath to collect himself, he laughed before the stone door. Junior brother, I'm out of seclusion. What are you waiting for? Double dragon gathering waits for no man. Senior brother, you're a fine talent coming out so soon. You aren't called the best talent in Western lands for nothing. A sigh came from beyond. Senior brother, I just need a little more time, and I will catch up. The senior brother chuckled. Is that how a junior brother acts? Teasing your senior brother? I'm not that shameless to call myself the best talent in Western lands with you around. Why, senior brother has been in the ethereal stage for years while little old me just entered. Senior brother, please don't jest. A chuckle replied. The senior brother shook his head and waited. 6 hours later. Senior brother's patience was running thin when rumbling came from beyond the door. Waves upon waves of energy shot out, spiking the temperature in the valley. The grass and trees dried up and then ignited. Even senior brother felt tense from the sense of his innards boiling. He set his eyes on the closed stone door and sweated. Junior brother's innate flame? He finally fused it with his soul, yet it holds such power. This freak, haha, I bet he just stole my best talent in Western lands title. Senior brother was sullen from a sense of loss. Meanwhile, in a deep and eerie forest, around 20 riders rested beneath the shade of a large tree, their mighty auras scaring animals away. Whoosh! Something black flashed and a vicious-looking man barked. Where's Yenimo? Where'd he run off to? Oh, Elder Chinya. A lovely woman mocked. Senior brother Yenimo found it so boring here, so he wanders about. He'll meet us at the Double Dragon gathering. He's at it again, running away by himself? The elder was outraged. His goddamned rash behavior will get him killed one of these days. What if he comes after the double dragon gathering ends? What then? The woman shrugged. It's fine, senior brother Yen Mo will never miss it. He's not a child. Who'd believe that with his track record? The elder spat. Every damn time we have to visit other sects, he slips away. We meet some trouble? He slips away. He's got not one honorable streak in him. But this is double dragon gathering, once every few centuries. It affects the future of the sect, yet he slips anyway. The elder held his aching head. The woman grinned. Then a cold voice came. Elder Chinya, brother Yen won't be late. How do you know? I just do. The man continued, because brother Yen won't let the chance of meeting the best talent in Western lands go. He will come, huh? The men looked at each other and nodded. In the meantime, Mystical Heaven Sect's group reached a bustling town with many trinkets on display. The lively mood had these disciples gawking from being stuck in the sect all their lives. But in a noisy tavern, a red-haired youth with a creepy smile set his eyes on the charming group of beauties on the street. The others nodded. Steward Zhua, you're finally showing some compassion. All they got from him was a wide smile as he led them to a tavern. The inside was just as desolate as the town, with dust settled on the chairs. There's no one here. We'll help ourselves then. Zhufan smiled. The rest sighed. They were too stiff to even twitch. It took so long for them to get here, yet not a single servant was there to serve them. Oh, the humanity. Unfortunately, they just had to make do with doing these things themselves, or were they about to ask Steward Zhua and the Venerables? The disciples dragged their weary bodies into the role of laborers once more. Doing it in the sect or outside was the same as being fated for this job. Everyone shared a forced smile. Zhufan and the Venerables took a table, releasing their discerning field only to find it devoid of any movement still. This place is strange. By the looks of it, it feels like a demonic cultivator's handiwork. It must have been recent too, going by the furniture state, half a month at most. Zhufan knocked on the table. The Venerables nodded. Fiend Yang said, I can only hope he's no longer here. He doesn't stick his nose in our matters, and neither will we. Let him try and then he'll get it, Zhufan cut in. The others snickered. The demonic cultivator must be a rogue one that steals others' cultivation. Without resources, all he can do is resort to these despicable and revolting acts. Unlike them, who had a backer, stopping them from wiping out towns whenever they felt like it. It would only get worse as they'd be hunted down by righteous cultivators. Unlike rogues, demonic cultivators from a sect had discipline and self-restraint. They were less fearful from the moment they knew they were dealing with a rogue cultivator. How strong could he be when he lacked resources? All he could do was pick on mortals. He stood no chance against these sectarians. Though there were exceptions like the really talented rogue cultivators, they were an extreme minority. Cheers. We have overcome the first training. With the cups filled and food served, Zhufan sported an extra-wide grin as he toasted. The others replied in kind, cheering and enjoying the respite. After the meal, Zhufan slapped the table. Time to go. Whoosh. Tried as they might to get up, they couldn't. They were back to where they started, stiff as a rock. What's going on? Fiend Yang asked. Zhufan grinned all-knowingly. Didn't I tell you? Once you take the zombie pill, you have to keep moving or you'll freeze in place. Now that you rested your legs, you're back where you started. You've got to be joking. The victims looked sullen and crushed. They just got walking figured out and now they were back to square one. The agony and the cruelty of it all waiting to be relished again had them all wish for a swift and easy death. Steward Zhua, you duped us. Kuei Lang howled. Zhufan's grin widened. When, pray tell? It's the Venerables who wanted you to rest. I warned you, but did you listen? Hey, don't shift blame. You didn't try to stop it either. Yeah, you said we could stop, but we didn't think we'd bounce back to the starting line. How can, Kuei Lang complained. Joffan scratched his nose like a damn rogue as he admitted it. Yep, I did it on purpose. What are you going to do about it? They all fell speechless. How damn rotten and vile can you be? If we could hold a sword, we'd have run you through by now and hanged your head. Every single one of them held Joffan in absolute hatred. Then, a red blade flashed straight for Jofan's throat. We were only thinking of doing it, right? Chapter 610, Bye. Chapter 610, Bye. Whoosh. The burning red sword was right at Jofan's throat. The crippling bloodlust made everyone's skin crawl. Jofan's heart tightened, raising his right hand to catch it as it screeched to a halt. He noticed the other end of the sword was held by a 20-year-old dainty girl with big eyes. She unleashed a sharper and deadlier blow than her fifth-layer radiant stage cultivation led one to believe. Not that it was of any damn use against Joffan. Squinting, Jofan's hand shook, and the girl was sent flying into a table. Joffan held the sword proper, his icy eyes staring at the attacker. The three fiends of hell snickered from behind, drinking as if nothing happened. No radiant stage cultivator, even a sneaky one, would get the better of Joffan. The trio was enjoying the unexpected attack like a good act, commenting on how the lass was weak, arrogant, and overconfident. Clang! Knocking on the red blade, Joffan sized it up, his mouth grinning in an evil way. 6th-grade spiritual weapon, and made quite well too. A shame the owner fails to wield it. Why you? The lass glared with hatred. Joffan had a smile for her instead. Missy, what on earth are you doing attacking me out of the blue, especially weak as you are? Ha! The audience laughed at the comedy, even the stiff disciples, mocking the girl's stubborn streak. The lass spared no hatred for anyone other than Joffan. That's my line. Who the hell are you? Why did you take our young master? Hand him over. Took your young master? Joffan and the venerables shared a glance. We just got here 2 hours ago. We don't even know who you are and you say we took someone? The lass wasn't buying. Liar. Do you see anyone else around? If not you, then who? Despicable demonic cultivators, you all are beyond saving for not even admitting your faults. That touched a nerve in the rest, and it was now their turn to glare at her. Kuei Lang's side would have been tearing her to pieces by now, except for one tiny detail: they were frozen stiff. Joffan shrugged, pointing at the lass. See that? That's a righteous cultivator for you, self-righteous and cocky. What would you guys do if a mere lass would spout such rubbish? Kill her, waste her, torture her, peel her flesh, force on. Yeah, but save it in your condition, all right? Seeing them so gung-ho, Joffan cooled them off with a grin. Don't you worry about anything, I have my ways. Why not have her join your club? The kids' eyes glittered, their smiles widening. Steward is the best. Yeah, let her get stiff like us then die as a rock. Kuei Lang snickered. Sharing one's suffering with another always makes one happier. Though in this case, it was just plain mean since it dragged her into this torture. Joffan turned to the girl, his smile widening. She shivered for no apparent reason and panicked. What are you doing? Me? Just giving you a taste of a demonic cultivator's handiwork. Hi. Joffan loomed over the lass, his smile disturbing. The wee girl shivered in fear, losing her tough front the instant she noticed the twinkle in his eyes. Gulping, her eyes darted around for an out, and she bolted outside the tavern. Joffan bam-fed in her face and made her gasp. To make double sure, he also clamped down on her shoulder, the cracking sound earning a cry and a grimace. Evil smiles were a trend today, as everyone bore it, wallowing in others' misfortune. Joffan held a pill with the other hand and grinned, inching it closer to the lass's dainty mouth. Girl, take it and you won't feel pain, since dumb people are too stiff in the head to feel it to begin with. Be nice and Big Bro here will take good care of you. Hi. What the hell was that? Did you do the same to the young master? The lass saw the pill with fear. Joffan didn't bother explaining and just laughed. You'll know soon enough the meaning of hell on earth. The girl shuddered and cried, Help, senior sister, help me. Go ahead, scream, no one's gonna save you now. Ha! The pack of wild beasts being under Juofan's thumb for so long could only find joy in seeing others suffer the same treatment. 3 fiends of hell were beaming as well. They hadn't been this happy in weeks. It's just a pit stop anyway to liven the mood before we resume our journey. Stop! However, just as Juofan was about to stuff the zombie pill into the girl's mouth, a cold shout rang out. In a flutter of white clothes and long fine hair dancing in the wind, the view of a perfect woman laid before them in the doorway. They all gasped with the fiend's cups slipping from their hands. Such a perfect and amazing woman. How come I never knew she existed? Quit your yapping, I'll be with you. Juofan sensed the 8th layer radiant stage cultivation behind him but didn't care. Though when he took a look, he stared speechless. Q Ching Ching. Crash. The thunder ring flickered, as did Chu Ching Ching's. Sister Ching Ching. The girl took advantage of the demon's lapse of judgment and slipped away to get to her side with a victimized look. Juofan let her go as he came to while the girl went to cry in Chu Ching Ching's embrace. Sister, itchy is mean. They must have taken young master and sister. Danner, you're wrong here. While he is a meanie, he isn't one so despicable. I know his style all too well. Believe me, they didn't do it. Rubbing the girl's shoulder, Chu Ching Ching soothed her, then gave Juofan a coy smile. I see Steward Juo's style hasn't changed at all, still picking on girls. They know each other. They all were slack-jawed, moving back and forth between them. Danner was stunned. The perfect and elegant Sister Ching Ching knows such a nasty demon. Juofan scratched his nose, not meeting her gaze. I'm not sorry for the girl when she was the one insisting on casting blame. I was only giving her a lesson, that's all. Everyone was bug-eyed. What the hell? Is the world coming to an end? Steward Juo always moves with purpose and savagery yet is now coming clean? They always had to be careful when talking around Juofan, lest he snapped. This was the first time seeing this side of him. They looked at him like a stranger. They also turned to Chu Ching Ching with the same shocked expression. Who could she be to make the great Steward Juo turn meek? Are the rumors true? Behind every strong man is an even stronger woman? Chu Ching Ching stared at Juofan's uneasy figure with a rare smile. Danner was speechless, having never seen her reveal such a beautiful smile. Juofan, are you saying it's all her fault? Chu Ching Ching questioned. Juofan flicked his head away. Of course, she came casting blame. Is that what a grown man does, nitpicking with weak little girls? That's me. What about me? Well, the audience was lost for words. What the hell are they doing? The absurdity of it all made the situation fly right past them. But all in all, it looked like lovers flirting. Hey, Steward Juo, what are you doing flirting with a woman? Didn't you say there's only the weak and the strong in this world? They sighed, resigned, with Chu Ching Ching the only one questioning him and Juofan stuck up in his own stubborn ways. Chapter 611, Drunkard. Chapter 611, Drunkard. Spill it, old man. Where are you keeping our people? Shui Ruohua sat on a bench in an inn, with a woman in blue and 10 more people next to her. She was glaring at a tied-up red-nosed old man. The grandpa had no care, his head swooning and wearing a silly smile. Give me wine. Screw you. Shui Ruohua snapped. It's been 5 days, damn drunkard. No matter how much you have drunk, you should be sober by now. Quit your faking, or I'll have to get serious. The threat went right over the old man, swaying all the same and saying wine again and again. Rolling her eyes, Shui Ruohua raised her hand. She was going to slap some sense into the drunkard, one to break bones. It was then that she heard something from outside. 1, 2. 1, 2. Shui Ruohua tensed and glanced at the woman in blue. Go see what it is, Shui Ruohua said. The woman looked out the window to see a bunch of zombies taking one painful step after another their way. In the lead were 4 totally average people while at the side were the ever-familiar Chu Ching Ching and Danner leading them and chatting. The woman in blue jerked as she witnessed Junior's Sister Ching Ching's bright smile. She reported, "Senior sister Ruohua, it's junior sister Qingqing returning. Though she brought a bunch of weirdos. They're all so stiff. She must have caught someone suspicious. Open the barrier and let them in." Shui Ruohua brightened. The drunkard shook his head. "More innocent people are dragged into this. Such a heavy sin. So you can listen now, stop faking. Once they come in, I'll deal with you." Shui Ruohua sent one last glare and had the rest watch him as he and the woman in blue went outside. The drunkard chuckled as his head swayed. How unbearably naive. Any longer, and the kid would have played me to death. The inn's barrier opened, and the girls walked toward the stiff guys and said, "Junior sister Qingqing, did you find the bastard's lair? You got so many captives and even went so hard on them. They're barely alive. Who are you calling a dead captive? They may be crippled a tiny bit, sure, but you are not to mock them. Talk about discrimination." Zhuo Fan growled. Thanks to Shui Ruohua's words, the zombies were in lower spirits, if possible, looking at Zhuo Fan with dejection and bitterness. "Steward Zhuo, you're one to talk. You did this to us." Zhuo Fan shrugged, while Shui Ruohua froze. "Wire." "Oh, senior sister Ruohua, I forgot to make the introductions." Chu Qingqing flowed next to Zhuo Fan and grabbed his hand, presenting with utmost joy. "He is Zhuo Fan, an old friend from Tianyu. He now represents the demon scheming sect in Double Dragon Gathering. You met once. He heard of our troubles and came to help." Zhuo Fan snatched his hand back with an odd face, blurting, Yes, right. We just stumbled into each other while resting here. We don't care about your business. You guys keep moving and go in, or any slowpoke will be stiff for life." Zhuo Fan went next to his victims and instructed. Kuei Lang mourned his plight. "Steward Zhuo will never rest again in our lives. You'll go in either way. With how unnatural this place is, you'll be sitting ducks outside, especially in your weak states." "Let's just go then." Lu Xie sighed. Zhuo Fan turned frosty. "That's for me to decide. I'm the boss here." Lu Xie was outraged. "Fool, Steward Zhuo hardly cares about women, and now that he found one that took his fancy, he'll never leave. You can't even see this?" Qi Changlong glared. Lu Xie was stubborn. "The sect rule says you can dual cultivate but not sprout feelings. Did you forget? The rules are made for the strong. You have seen it and know it all too well." Qi Changlong snorted. Lu Xie sighed and the others nodded. Feeling the malcontent in their voices, Zhuo Fan was at an impasse on what to do. Not that he gave a hoot for demon scheming sex rules, but they did have one he agreed on. Feelings were a deadly poison to a demonic cultivator. Chu Qingqing saw the sullen Zhuo Fan and chuckled, whether from loss or disappointment. She kept her face straight though, he doesn't like meeting new people. Chu Qingqing went inside, ignoring Zhuo Fan. Shui Ruohua was stumped by her bright yet painful smile. They all soon went inside, and the barrier was restored. The fiends rolled their eyes. They didn't give a damn about this, but since Zhuo Fan did, they had to oblige. The mystical heaven sect must be relaxed to send the disciples without elders. Fiend Yang noticed the cultivations around and smirked. Shui Ruohua sighed. "We had 3 elders with us, but the demonic cultivator captured them, leaving us alone. My, how the mighty mystical heaven sect has fallen, to even have its elders captured, ha!" the fiends mocked. The zombies joined in. Mystical heaven sect's group was furious. "Have you demons come to help or kick us when we're down? You were better off not coming at all." Zhuo Fan said, Now, you might be captured next as well." "Ugh." Fiend Yang groaned. "Zhuo Fan, what are you doing helping outsiders? Don't you know girls are like clothes while brothers are your hands and feet?" Zhuo Fan's face fell, while the people from Mystical Heaven sect looked startled. "How tough is he? While we fawn over elders, he has venerables fawn over him. An unnatural and disturbing reversal. Demonic cultivators are always funny. Running your mouth then contradicting yourselves. Since girls are clothes, you might as well sell your brothers out to get some. Why all the hesitation?" The fiends were annoyed. The dumb speaker was none other than a drunkard wearing a taunting smile. Old fool, say that again. Fiend Yang pointed at him. The old man belched and mocked. Am I wrong? Sure, girls are like clothes and brothers your hands, but look around you. There are plenty of guys without hands, yet have you ever seen someone skipping around buck naked? Shui Ruo's side giggled. It was the first time since they captured the old man that he defended their dignity. Fiend Yang's forehead sported an extra thick vein. Zhu Fan interfered though, and he is. Seeing the town suspicious, we investigated and only found him around. So we captured him for interrogation, but he never talked. Having helped her once, Shui Ruohua found it natural to explain. Fiend Yang grinned and glared at the old guy, having found the excuse to get back at him. Leave him to me. I'll loosen his mouth. Soon he'll be begging to talk. Hi. The others chilled at his tone. Zhu Fan blocked him and stared, before speaking with respect towards the old man. Senior, we have been most rude. Please forgive our transgression. The rest were dumbfounded. Does he know him? The old man jerked. What's the kid playing at? Chapter 6:12. Confusion. Chapter 6:12. Confusion. You know him? Chu Qingqing turned her soft eyes to Zhu Fan. Zhu Fan shook his head. Never seen him in my life. Why then do you show such respect? It's not like you. Chu Qingqing asked. Demon scheming sex gang was most intrigued. If Steward Zhuo never cursed an old man openly, it was already showing respect. Zhuo Fan shrugged, looking around before fixing his gaze on mystical heaven sex side. You said everyone in this town was captured, and only he remained, right? Yes, when we arrived it was bustling, but over a few days it became like this. After much searching, we only found him. Shui Ruohua said. Zhuo Fan sighed and pointed. Tell me, what is his cultivation? None whatsoever. Isn't he just an average old man? Everyone shook their heads. Zhu Fan grinned. Is it that he has no cultivation that you're mocking? Or maybe he's so high up the realms you can't even sense it. What? All he got was gasps of disbelief. There were even ethereal stage experts here, yet they still couldn't tell. Just how strong was this old coot? You can tell then? Shui Ruohua asked. Nope. Zhu Fan shook his head, and that's what makes it frightening. Everyone rolled their eyes and eased up with Shui Ruohua glaring, then stopped spouting bullshit. You got us scared for a second there we messed with an expert. Messing or not, it depends on your fortune and the old man's mood. Zhu Fan sported a vague grin. You said it yourself. Everyone in the town was gone except for this elderly man. That means two things. Either this elder escaped, and the culprits disdained going after him, or the elder is so powerful the culprits had no way of dealing with him. Yet you jumped right to accusing him without so much as a clue how it happened. This offense I fear. Mystical heaven sex side hearts tightened. But he's so plain. How is he supposed to be a world expert? Does that mean we're dead? From the pearly white smile the old guy was giving, Shui Ruo's side was panicking. Then Zhu Fan gave another bow, his tone so annoying he got mystical heaven sex side fuming. Elder, see that? We've only met by chance here. We don't know them. Sir needs to be clear about the guilty parties here. If you have any gripes, take it out on them without any restraint. We'll just stay on the sideline, cheering you on. If you find us an eyesore, then we would gladly leave. Shui Ruo's side had dark faces. Did you come to help or dig us a bigger hole? Demon scheming sex side laughed it up. Zhu Fan, get lost already, and stop spinning wild tales and making it worse for us. Damn vile demon spawns, they're all evil. None will help us for real. Shui Ruohua spat and Danner followed. Demon scheming sex gang showed a nasty smile, like second nature to them. Zhu Fan huffed. Think I want to butt in? I only... He peeked at Chu Qingqing only to see her looking at him with lovely eyes. He swished his head away at once, his heart a mess. Drunkard laughed, nodding. Nice one, boy, you got me, unlike these softies. Let me give you a warning as a reward, go now while you're not involved. They have set the trap and are about to reap the joys of the hunt soon enough. You have no chance against his sharp mind. Leave while you can. The rest were startled. Zhuofan was right. As if to cement his theory, the drunkard flexed, and the ropes binding him fell to pieces just like that. Even Zhuofan shuddered. Just the fact the rope was dealt with without the single sign of yuan qi leaking showed he had reached a godly level in raw power. Such precise control pointed at high cultivation and heart. The old man was far worse than he thought, and Zhuofan was stern. Stretching about, the old man chuckled, "Where's the wine? How can this be an inn without a drink?" "Venerable Fiend Yang, take out the wine you took from the tavern and offer it to Senior," Zhuofan said. Fiend Yang complied, his brow soaked. He realized, at last, the old man was a monster, so much that his skills looked like parlor tricks by comparison. Then came the crushing regret. What's wrong with me? Why had I been taunting the old guy? He just has to be petty and my poor life would be gone. Shui Ruo's side was struck by abject fear. They were the ones who messed with the monster most. The old guy chuckled, "It's far too late for regrets though. Do you know how all who messed with me ended up? Ha! He scared the kids, though Zhuofan didn't buy it. Sir shouldn't scare the kids, they did it out of ignorance. If Sir were to nitpick, they'd be goners ages ago. I can see Sir doesn't stoop to their level, seeing their naive nature. I must say, I admire Sir's jovial nature in playing with people's feelings." "Ah, nice one, kid. You turned it around so it'll make me look bad if I do strike them." The old man's eyes glittered. "Since you gave me some wine, I'll give this one for free. Leave now, you won't stand a chance if you stay." The old man then walked out of the inn and everyone jumped out of his way. Creak. The brilliant sun shone through the open door and the old man sighed. "So late, there's no escape now. Kid, you're on your own. This had nothing to do with you, alas, this is fate." The old man went through the barrier like nothing. The rest gasped. They captured a monster who could cross barriers without a sign, meaning his cultivation must have reached the pinnacle. See that? If not for our steward Zhuo reminding you of your offense, you'd be dead. Thank him already. Kuei Lang shouted at the girls from Mystical Heaven Sect. They all stood dumbfounded, then thanked Zhuofan with their eyes. Fiend Yang held Zhuofan's shoulder, reproaching, "I told you not to get involved. You were this close to getting instantly killed by a worldly expert. I almost peed my pants from fear. Got that, muddled kid?" "Shoo." Zhuofan gestured and pointed outside, "Fog is coming." The others saw the sun covered in thick fog and the world darkening. Fiend Yang asked, "What's odd about evening mist?" "True, but have you ever seen a fog that blocks divine sense?" They all released their discerning field to find nothing in its range. The fog was eerie, stopping everyone's discerning field dead in its tracks. Zhuofan's mood was heavy. The old man was right. We're stuck here now. Chapter 613, An Old Demon's Experience. Chapter 613, An Old Demon's Experience. What do we do now? Shui Ruohua turned to Zhuofan, as did the others. All that happened cemented their trust in Zhuofan, even Mystical Heaven Sect's group. Zhuofan answered, "Know thyself and your enemy, and you shall be ever victorious. So before we try tackling the problem, we must know what we're dealing with. I sensed something wasn't right about this place but didn't have the details. We clear this up and then we can act." Zhuofan went back inside with the rest. While the barrier grew smaller from the thick fog, sizzling. "It's like this." In the Glummin, they all sat around a table with a single candle. Kuei Lang's gang was not included, warming up at the side to keep the blood flowing and the stiffness at bay. They added the musical element to the situation by the cracking of bones and snapping of muscles, an eerie vibe all in all. Shui Ruohua felt a shiver on her back, doing her utmost not to watch those creepy things crackling. "We set off for Double Dragon Gathering a fortnight ago. As we passed through here, we stopped at a tavern, where we met a red-haired youth with sinister eyes, a demonic cultivator no doubt. It's definitely the work of demonic cultivators. Jofan and the fiends shared a glance. The youth was pushy with our sisters, so young master shouted at him, which made him angry. Unable to do anything since we had 3 elders with us, he left. What we took as fear turned out to be a plan for the next morning. Everyone in town was gone without a trace. The elders urged us to leave, but young master was gone as well? Jofan asked. Shui Ruohua grieved. Yes, young master is weak from illness. And now that he's gone, we're worried sick. We looked everywhere but found nothing while the elders vanished one after the other as well. Every time we went searching we got fewer and fewer. All we could do was set up a barrier and search only during the day. Playing cat and mouse. Jofan called out what the fiends were thinking. Shui Ruohua asked, "What's that?" "It's a game. A cat plays with the mouse once it catches it rather than eating it right away, relishing in its victim's every expression of agony." Jofan grinned. "Why would the culprits pick you out a couple a day when they had no trouble taking every townsfolk and your elders? Taking you all prisoners would be far too easy. But instead, they let you experience dread like no other, living in fear day after day. That's playing cat and mouse." Mystical Heavensek's hearts sank and nodded. Jofan sighed. "I used to play this game when I got bored, but now it lost its thrill." Heroes do the same. We used to mess around as well, but ever since becoming venerables, we didn't have the time and lost interest. Fiend Yang laughed. "To be frank, back in the day I'd find myself an eyesore and mess around with him for kicks." The 4 nodded and laughed. Shui Ruohua's side was sullen. "Sickos. Humph, no demonic cultivator is any good. You're all vile for toying with someone's life." Danner reproached. While the 4 stayed silent, Kuei Lang felt the need to answer, crying next to the lass, "Damn right, you are all so evil, doing this to us. I can't take it anymore." "Oh, there's someone wise among demonic cultivators?" Danner looked shocked and amazed but then felt the need to strangle him by what she heard. "Can you stop with the peeling, flaying and whatnot? How fun is that anyway? Is it fun wasting time over nothing? I just knew you're all lost causes." Danner wailed. Jofan's side laughed. He sure liked poking fun at the lass. Girly, even demonic cultivators have gentlemen and thugs. Kuei Lang here is in the latter category. Unlike us men of culture and refinement, savoring the person's prolonged agony, relishing their every cry, ha. Jofan's group laughed along with each other, making Danner feel worse as she hugged Chu Qingcheng for comfort. "Sister, how can humans be like this?" "Haha, didn't I tell you they were bad? Learn to accept it." Chu Qingcheng snapped a glare Jofan's way. Jofan quibbled with an arched eyebrow. "Why are you looking at me? I'm only helping some panicky sister's young master on account of the happy times back then. Though I reckon he's dead by now." "So you admit it now?" Chu Qingcheng beamed at him with a warm gaze. Skipping over the life of a poor man on the line here, she went straight to the 2's comings and goings. Jofan spoke with pride. "Of course. First things first, the kid loves playing around with a calm mind and sharp intuition. Or he'd have snuffed you all out the minute you butted into his play instead of taking one a night. He took your crippled young master to trap you here and let him have his fun at your expense. You are not to talk bad about young master, he is only ill. You said it yourself, he's in poor health, so what's it to me?" Jofan's voice cut Danner's sharp reprimand on the spot, letting her choke on her words. Danner turned a pleading look to Chu Qingcheng, but she giggled. Steward Zhua is so wise and experienced in the ways of the world. As a senior, I can tell with ease what his damn game is. Just how many times have we done it in our days? Fiend Yang replied to Joafan in pride. "So true, and the kid sure feels like an expert in his games. Having no setback so far, his heart must be brimming with pride and confidence. We've gone through too many hellish matters to keep our inner child naive and playful. That's why I've been saying we no longer play these games. We're better off cultivating our strength." Joafan nodded sagely. The kid is green at heart, making his pride leave holes in his grand plan. Shui Ruohua watched in absent shock how these devilish people unraveled everything. She had to admit, against some toying demonic cultivators, these old veterans right here were the best men for the job. Unlike them, losing their heads the instant young master was gone and playing further in the enemy's hand. Fiends aside, why was it the young Zhuo Fan who gave her the feeling he was more shrewd and sharp than these oldies? It gave Zhuo Fan an air of mystery, deadly for young maidens such as herself. Zhuo Fan was like a throne buried under the sea she just had to uncover. That settles it. Zhuo Fan eyed everyone. The guy must have pushed you close to insanity these 2 weeks. He cleared the town to set the mood and give him an edge in achieving his goal. It was just then we walked in, and an ignorant lass saw my stiffies and jumped to conclusions in fear that I was the culprit. So she ran at me like a crazy broad with pointy metal. You're the crazy one. Danner bit back. Zhuo Fan smiled. No one crazy would have seen the 3 ethereal stage experts around me, yet you just came on stab in. Are your eyes for decoration, fool? Sister Qingqing, he's mocking me. Danner whined and Chu Qingqing smiled, patting her shoulder. She then eyed Zhuo Fan. I'm curious though, what's up with them? Just like you, disobedient, and now their punishment is my joy. Zhuo Fan showed his pearly whites. Mystical Heaven Sect's gang shuddered, looking at the stiff group. All demonic cultivators are vile and cruel. This was worse than them being toyed with. Chapter 614, Captured. Chapter 614, Captured. Chu Qingqing gave him a long look and smiled. I know your style, so save it. You've been in the Luo clan for so many years and not once have you used your evil tendencies on them. Zhuo Fan, she has you down pat. Now that she mentions it, you never were mean to your people in the sect either. I can see why you are with her, so you must be close. Fiend Yang looked from Chu Qingqing to Zhuo Fan with a knowing smile. Zhuo Fan's face fell, glared at Fiend Yang and then said, desperate times call for desperate measures. Staying any longer will lead to our doom. It's better we leave at once. What about young master and the elders? We can't just leave them. Shui Ruohua cried. Fiend Yang mocked her for the idiot she was. Stay here and let the guy play you like a fiddle. While leaving will make him sour and force his hand. We'll draw him out, turning the tables. If you can't see even this logic, Mystical Heaven Sect is hopeless. Shui Ruohua lowered her flushed face. Fight fire with fire, in this case, demonic cultivators against demonic cultivators. They have more experience and should listen to them. Shui Ruohua cupped her hands. I leave it all to you. Then let's. Sizzling cut off Zhuo Fan's words as the fog slipped in through the cracks everywhere he looked, like a demon's claw, ready to maim. Everyone flustered and jumped back, looking apprehensive. What about the barrier? How did the fog slip in? Shui Ruohua turned to Zhuo Fan. She found this man the only one reliable here, despite being a stranger. Zhuo Fan explained, didn't the rest get taken at night? Yes. Shui Ruohua replied. Zhuo Fan sighed. The guy wants to take initiative, taking us all before leaving. What? Why then, is it in the evening? It's not the right time, Zhuo Fan mulled. Have any of your disciples been captured lately? Shui Ruohua frowned and shook her head. No, not since we set up the barrier. But the guy is brilliant. You saw it yourself, your barrier is useless. He had his own reasons for staying his hands so far. Zhuo Fan's eyes sharpened. Did any disciples vanish while you had the elder tied up? Shui Ruohua pondered. You're right, there were none. Does that mean it's the old man's doing and not the youth's? What utter nonsense. The elder could have snapped your necks at any time. Zhuo Fan sighed. The guy must have been afraid of the elder, but that variable is now gone and he's free to act. Shui Ruohua and the rest were speechless. Never for the life of them would have concluded the same guy they had tied up was their lucky charm, and now the charm just flew out the door. If only we knew, we'd have treated the mister with respect. How can we be so blind? Shui Ruohua's gang was wallowing in self-pity. Zhuo Fan picked up on it at a glance. He turned to the encroaching fog with a frown. What's done is done. Stop feeling sorry for yourselves and get upstairs. We need to put some distance from the fog. Zhuo Fan pulled Chu Qingqing's exquisitely soft hand and was first to go. Chu Qingqing gave him a look and let him take her fine hand with a brilliant smile. He's always cold to me, but at least he has me in his heart. Steward Zhuo, what about us? The rest followed after him. Almost all, since Kuei Lang's gang was stiff as a board, they had a pretty tough time moving with any grace. He watched the incoming fog like a beast's maw, ready to tear into him. Kuei gang and Yuer pleaded, Master, can you release our poison until this is over? The fiends nodded. The situation was grave and they had no time to dally with training. Zhuo Fan thought, scoffed, release you? My word is golden, and nothing in the world will ever change that. So you better put that energy into running and not waste words. The victims were in tears. There was no way they could escape in their stiff predisposition. All felt like death was better off, at least they wouldn't suffer as much. As the fog crept over, they gnashed their teeth and pushed on faster. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Spurred on by the imminent threat looming behind them, they gained speed, though hardly much, but faster than your average human. Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. Well done. I think I didn't give them the proper incentive to work hard till now. Zhuo Fan, this is no time for training. Who knows what the fog is hiding? I don't want to end up with only you at Double Dragon Gathering. At the incoming fog on the stiffies, the fiends were further on edge. Zhuo Fan waved their worry away, all the more reason to let them test the waters. Even Mystical Heaven Sect's gang gasped at his cruelty. Is he human or devil? He's throwing his fellow comrades to the wolves. Won't they die? Such a savage demonic cultivator is a rarity. Fiend Yang eyed him. Why, you are crazy. What about Double Dragon Gathering? What if it fails? Lighten up, didn't we guess the guy's intentions? He's only playing. I believe he'll only capture them. Though I'm all a-quiver on how he'll take them away. No matter how strong, wiping a town clean of its residents is harder than it looks. It's easier to kill them all. Zhuo Fan's eyes glinted. This is the only way for us to leave through the fog. All switched to looks of adorations. His mind is so sharp, his heart steeled. Able to keep calm in the most serious danger like this. Demon Scheming Sect has brought up a true talent. So that's why the venerables defer to him. Fiend Yang wiped his brow. You're right. They'll be fine for a while. This tactic is so much better. I just forgot myself there. Save me. On cue, the wails of the first victim echoed through the inn. Kuei gang, the slowest slowpoke, got caught, letting out one single cry before vanishing. Zhuo Fan's eyes took in everything with deadly calm. Ganga! Kuei Lang wailed at his son's misfortune, even charging right into the fog after him. His cry snuffed out the instant he touched the fog. The fog pressed on after the rest, swallowing the fearful prey as they shouted. The scene drove an even more desperate fear in the survivors, trembling as the fog went up the stairs. Only Zhuo Fan watched with a twitchy ear. Peculiar, the taken don't look like dead nor captives, so why can't we sense them? Chapter 6:15, Fiend Yang's Demise. Chapter 6:15, Fiend Yang's Demise. The eerie fog swallowed the stiffies and their cries in a jiffy, now creeping in higher. The others were panicky, looking at Zhuo Fan for a solution. Fiend Yang was sweating. I just can't tell what this thing is. Even ethereal stage experts will have a hard time passing through it. The people's hearts thumped in their chests. Where does that leave us, dead? Calm down and watch. Zhuo Fan pulled Chu Qingqing higher. She followed him with a carefree smile, her eyes only seeing her man. The fiends were annoyed. Zhuo Fan, you threw 10 disciples to the fog, yet you want more? We'll all soon end up dead. Take it easy, we didn't hear anything when the fog took them because they're caught. I'll save you as soon as I figure out this process. Zhuo Fan waved his hand. The fiends were stumped, Us? What's that supposed to mean? Since I can't tell what's happening right now, I'll need more live subjects until I do. You decide who gets to go. I'll soon save you anyway. Zhuofan raised an eyebrow. The fiends' faces twitched, cursing, "Why the hell don't you try it yourself? I could die, rushing into the unknown." Zhuofan taunted, "You take me for a fool? You should die first, Humph." Chu Qingqing giggled at the side. "You don't want to go, so you're making others do it. Just like old times, you haven't changed one bit." The fiends were dumbstruck. "And you're saying we are the fools?" "Of course not, just that among everyone here, I am the one with sharper eyes and can refine pills and raise barriers. What can you do? Only alive can I save you, while with me gone you'll soon follow. That leaves the crucial mission of testing the fog to you, while I wait behind in safety." Zhuofan showed his trademark evil smile with an exasperating raise of the eyebrow. The trio nodded in the end. The damn kid is a pain, but why must he be so bloody right? Leaving this place alive would only be possible through him and his expansive wisdom. The trio resigned themselves. But they'd be damned if they'd be the first to take this retarded option of dying. Their eyes swiveled to mystical heaven sect. "With the fog creeping in and cutting our space, who'll go first?" They all gulped, shaking their heads like their lives depended on it. It made one wonder which was worse, the fog or the three venerables' threat. "Humph, you started this. Our disciples just fell victims and now you're freaking grasping at straws? Get out there and test the fog." Fiend Yang shouted, "Either you do it or I make you." Fiend Yang's aura exploded, flexing his fourth-layer ethereal stage cultivation on these hapless profound heaven disciples. Is this demon taking his anger on us? They shook there in their corner, inching back as the fog grew closer while watching the venerables in fear. They were stuck as to the right course of action. "Please don't force them, seniors. I will go." Shui Ruohua stepped out with dignity, glancing at Zhuofan with a plea, "We got into this mess and I thank you for coming to our rescue. I only hope my sacrifice will be of help to you and my fellow disciples in leaving here alive." Zhuofan nodded and gave a cold wave of his hand to get to it already. "Quit dawdling and die already. I'll be sure to watch every second of it." Shui Ruohua lamented and sighed. "He's so cold." A sinking feeling took hold of her heart. Chu Qingqing muttered, "Senior sister, should I go instead?" "Whatever for?" Zhuofan frowned, his grip harder on her hand. Sensing his care, Chu Qingqing's heart grew fuzzy. "I've been under senior sister's care ever since I came to Mystical Heaven Sect. Now it's my turn to help. Junior sister, it is my duty as the leader of Mystical Heaven Sect's group. I have to do this." Shui Ruohua spoke with conviction and pride. Zhuofan's eyes darted from her to Chu Qingqing and pointed at Fiend Yang. "Neither, you will go." "Screw you, you infatuated sap. Why should I go?" Fiend Yang exploded. Zhuofan shrugged. "You're the ethereal stage expert here. I feel like wanting to see the fog's effect on one. Will it be the same as the rest or you'll put up a fight? Is it toxic fumes or an array? Letting those weaklings go won't get me any answers." Fiend Yang's heart beat out of his chest, his face miserable, yet no way to retort. Turning to Fiend Gui and Fiend Yin, they found the walls much more interesting than him. The kid makes sense. You go. Fiend Yang, your sacrifice is much needed to show us brothers the way. The two sold him out and Fiend Yang was fuming. You rotten piece of... You side with him and leave me to die? This is what I get for having you brothers for centuries. Venerable Fiend Yang, you won't be dying. Don't you trust me? Zhuofan beamed. Fiend Yang sighed. Rather be safe than sorry, though it hardly makes a difference. If you can't get anything out of my going, you'll be following soon enough anyway. Besides, I survived Double Dragon Gathering, so I can survive anything. Fiend Yang walked on with conviction. The rest admired him. These demonic cultivators are foul beyond reason, yet quite heroic when the need arises. Not like Mystical Heaven Sect's disciples, all shying from danger, more scared than a woman. It was the least respect they could give these foul miscreants. Whoosh! Fiend Yang struck the fog with a palm attack. The mighty blow boomed into the fog yet had no effect whatsoever. Fiend Yang's heart tensed, giving the fog enough time to grab him. Just a touch was all it needed and Fiend Yang cried, "Zhuo Fan, this is..." Whoosh! His voice was cut off, and his body was engulfed in front of the shocked audience. Fiend Yang! The other two fiends shouted. A powerful expert like Fiend Yang fell just like nothing. What the hell is this thing? Zhuo Fan's brows were tight in thought. This fog is not deadly by far, or it wouldn't leave its victim to even make a peep. By the looks of it, Fiend Yang found something. Maybe this thing prevents any sounds from escaping, holding them in place for the mastermind to tie them up. It's certain that no one inside is dead, just frozen and unable to speak. What matters is how to go in and save them. Fiend Yin continued. The others rejoiced to learn the fog didn't take lives, though vexed as to how to deal with it. It all came down to how to cross it without falling prey. Zhuo Fan's gaze drifted. Just what is this odd thing? Chapter 616, Array on Array. Chapter 616, Array on Array. The creepy fog drifted closer, making those that were too close turn slack and then swallow their saliva without so much as a peep. Every time it inched closer, it buried a deeper dread in the hearts of these people, making them scurry and shuffle further away even when they had no place to go. The only exception was Zhuo Fan, staring with a frown and ever hopeful for the tiniest hint that would help unravel this mystery. The fog's devouring continued unabated. Its struggling and erratic prey would halt all movements, even their eyes glazed the instant they got close before sinking into the great white beyond. Zhuo Fan caught every minute expression and muttered, "It's so obvious now. The kid almost played me." "Did you find a way?" From Zhuo Fan's cocky outburst, Chu Qingqing smiled. The rest looked with hope, Fiend Yin asking, "You know what this is?" "Sure, this thing's looks got us all fooled. This is no fog, nor is there any poison inside. Better yet, it doesn't exist." Zhuo Fan explained. Zhuo Fan snickered. "Recall our analysis of the guy? He is truly just playing around. He set up the fog to scare and confuse us before it swallowed us all up. When in fact, it's nothing but an expanding barrier, that of a bewildering array. Once inside it, you'll be taken by illusions and won't be able to escape regardless of being swallowed by it. So that's why. Fiend Yang's attack had no effect because it was empty to begin with. He must have come to the same conclusion when he shouted, but the illusion took hold just as he started. Fiend Gui figured it out as well. The same happened to all those who were taken. Their eyes dulled and didn't even cry as they were overcome by the illusions. But it sure is an impressive array for not even an ethereal stage expert to escape it. Despite being harmless, the fear still remained in the hearts of all remaining, since the array could deal with ethereal stage experts. They turned to Zhuo Fan with a pleading and tearful look. "What did we ever do to deserve this fate?" Zhuo Fan squinted at the fog still, muttering, "Not to worry, the guy ain't so tough. This array is definitely above 7th grade and quite intricate, but even that's not enough to take hold of an ethereal stage expert so fast. I bet." "What?" Shui Ruohua asked. Zhuo Fan had a nasty grin. He used a special way to raise its effect. "The most logical explanation is using sacred stones." "What?" Everyone cried. "But that's..." "Quite." Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow. "Of the entire Western lands, only the middle and superior 3 sects can have them. The middle 3 sects would get too little to waste like this. No elder in their right mind would throw them away on something as wasteful as an array. It only goes to show it's a demonic sect from the superior 3 sects, the number 1 demonic sect in Western lands, Hellion Flame sect." Quite the head you have on your shoulder, despite the low cultivation. You guessed it. A cackle echoed from the fog, startling the average disciple. Zhuo Fan grinned. "I was wondering what trick you used to take all townsfolk without a sound when it's just a mere illusion to make them leave by themselves." "Humph, punk, you're not bad, the first to have seen through my little game. Though what good will that do against a 7th grade array set up with sacred stones? Nothing, that's what, While he mocked, the rest turned to Juefan, having given them a trickle of hope, yet now he only had a cold smile. They took Juefan for being scared and their hearts sank. Only Chu Qingqing had endless faith and a cute smile for her man. Aren't you scared? Juefan smiled at her. Chu Qingqing shook her head, her eyes only for him. I'll never be scared with you around. Juefan's heart twitched and his mouth widened into a smile as his hand touched her back and let a red glow enter her. No matter what happens, I'll never leave you. The two fiends were speechless. Dude, we're your teammates here. Shouldn't you tell us how to deal with the danger? Fiend Yang and company are awaiting rescue, yet here you are flirting with women? The sect rules are right. Any demonic cultivator taken by love will lose themselves in it. Shui Ruohua and the others had an odd taste in their mouth. Any sect forbids men and women from getting too close. While not as strict as demonic cultivators, righteous cultivators deny it on account of messing with their cultivation. These women were in the prime of their womanhood. Sure, they indulged in some hanky-panky now and then, but they still cultivated the rest of the time. But seeing these two in a world of their own making stirred something in their lonely hearts, a longing and desire they never knew existed. Dana went beet red. Sister Qingqing is like a fairy, with all in the sect adoring her, yet why did she fall for a demon? She had no answer. That senior sister of hers was punished for the same reason. Dana began to worry about Chu Qingqing's shaky future. Go die, you rotten couple. Let her go, you prick, I got dibs first. Do it now or die. The hatred-fueled howl came from beyond the fog. While scared out of their minds still, the others had to admit that these two lovebirds showing off in public needed to be talked down. Dude, we're on different sides, but we got your back. Juefan smiled, irking him on purpose, raising their connected hands. I'm just that charming. What are you gonna do about it? Hi, getting you separated is nothing to me, overconfident punk. The cackle was followed by the billowing fog rushing for them. It took the rest in its wake like all the countless victims before. I will have you suffer in the 7th grade soul-rotting moon array for 49 days. When I get my fill of her, I'll drop by to tell you how she fared. Hi. All wanted to run away, but where? It took little time for the fog to take them, leaving but the cute couple. The two stepped back for as long as they could, but alas, the fog was on them. Chu Qingqing's mind hazed over and Juefan shouted, Qingqing. His cries died out as well with his eyes glazing over. The cackle came once again. Fool, no matter how sharp your mind is, you're too weak. It's a waste of time toying with a puny second-layer radiant stage cultivator. Hi. Pa. Juefan's hand on Chu Qingqing got thrown off, and then a burst of distant laughter echoed. Too bad the guy didn't notice Shua's eyes sporting an extra bright azure flame. Roar! The prismatic dragon roamed within his mind, surrounded by the fog yet never approaching. The prismatic shield protected it from anything. The dragon's eyes snapped open and howled as a torrent of azure flame exploded from within it into an inferno, burning away any trace of the fog. Juefan opened his eyes, the azure flame flicking on his forehead, clearing his mind. The guy played for so long he got cocky. He has no clue of the meaning of who laughs last. Juefan snickered. With the azure flame, no method will ever harm my soul. Now then, time to follow him to his lair. Juefan then gave his white surroundings a once-over and sighed. Almost forgot, I'm still stuck in his array. If you can set one, can't I as well? I have sacred stones too. If there's one thing I don't lack, it's sacred stones. Hi. With a cackle, Juefan waved his hands, and the lights released formed an intricate array. Then formed a hand sign and shouted, Array on array. Boom! With a large quake, Juefan at the center, a dazzling light flashed, expanding in all directions. The inexplicable fog had met its match, scattering on the spot. The empty town was now clear and regained its quiet nature. Except for being empty. Chapter 617, Demonic. Chapter 617, Demonic. Ah, no. In a deep cave, a shriek bounced off the solid bedrock. Shui Ruohua and the newly captured prey opened their eyes to witness a most blushing scene. They saw a blushing man with red hair and a creepy smile, the same youth they met 2 weeks back. As well as a most familiar woman, howling under that vile spawn of a human being. "Junior sister!" Shui Ruohua cried. "You bastard, let her go." She felt powerless to come to her rescue, finding her cultivation sapped. The redhead snickered. Hi, lassie, are you that excited? Don't worry, your number will come up soon." Rotten piece of filth. Shui Ruohua's eyes were red at the agony her dear junior sister was subjected to. Chu Qingqing and Danner woke up as well to see the same revolting image. While of the demon-scheming sex gang, only the women snorted something, as the rest were quite eager learners of this ritual the beasts used every now and then. Fiend Yang was drooling. "Hey, pilgrim, we don't know them, just bumped into each other. Do what you want with the girls, but let us go." "Hee, I saw you trying to help them. Don't think your act will fool anyone." The redhead mocked. Fiend Yang sighed. "Our leader is an old friend of that woman, so he wanted to help. We're different." "Who cares? You're in my cave, so that makes you my prey, at my whim." The redhead cackled as he put more effort into his actions, making the miss under him cry one last time before slumping. She dried up under the naked eye, becoming a husk in seconds. "Sucking in." Fiend Yang eased up. "Since the guy trains in such an art, we guys should be safe, huh?" Whoosh. The redhead, however, stood up and flicked for a youth to fall into his hand. He then absorbed the red lights emanating from the kid, his essence. The youth ended up dried up like the lass. Now it's Yang." Fiend Yang's face twitched, looking at the redhead with pitiful eyes. "Dude, are you a man or woman? Can't you just pick one? Let some of us have a shot at life at least." Hi, I'm taking both Yin and Yang. Don't you worry, I'll be tending to pluck an ethereal stage expert's Yang soon. It must be a treat for sure, huh?" Fiend Yang's face sank and looked at his fellow comrades sporting the same bitter face. "Here I am, a mighty ethereal stage expert, finding my end at the hands of a kid, by having my Yang taken no less. Oh, the shame. Curse you, Zhufan. You said you'd save us. Where the hell are you?" Every victim here echoed his thoughts. As they gave their lives, also Zhufan would come up with a solution. Ignoring the old guys, the redhead pulled his pants with a happy grin and turned to the ladies present, Yuera in particular. Hi, girlie, how ripe you are. Want to chat with yours truly?" The redhead went to break both her arms and legs. Except for a creak, nothing gave and the guy looked baffled. "Hey, are you sure you're a woman? How are you so hard? Come on, break already." The redhead snarled. What the hell is your body made of?" Yuer mocked. "Sorry, but Master gave us all zombie pills that harden our bodies. So stop wasting your breath. There's actually such a bastard master out there? I get punishing one's disciples, but to do it all so I can enjoy you?" The redhead was outraged. "Who here is your damn master? Come out and cure her." "Stop yelling, he's not here." Kuei Lang sighed. "Dude, let us move around a bit or we'll soon be too stiff to even talk. We'll just turn to stone and die." Glossing over the plea, the redhead frowned and exclaimed, "It's that punk. Just how is he your master when you have higher cultivation?" "That's how he has us under control." Kuei Gang lamented, coming up with an excuse. The redhead nodded, slapping his chest. "Not to worry, the punk is stuck in my array. In a couple of days, I'll get the cure from his corpse, and then the fun will start. Hi. His lusty grin fell on Yuera and Bai Lian before leaving. The two glared in reply, then eased a breath. The zombie pill truly is a blessing in disguise. Contrary to popular belief, not all demonic cultivator women were like Humayer, not caring about her reputation and dignity. The redhead went to mystical heaven sex's side, patting Shui Ruohua's soft cheeks, then Danner and the other women. How smooth, how soft. Now that's what I call a woman, not a rock. Now break. Stop, you fiend. Don't touch them. It was I that insulted you. Take it out on me if you must. Someone shouted. The girls turned around in glee. Young master. However, the sight of him left them stunned. Xian Xiaoyu's hair was a mess, his eyes red, his face pale, and it bore a crazed look. His mind drifted off somewhat, his gaze nasty. Bastard, what did you do to young master? Shui Ruohua cursed. The redhead snickered. Nothing, just let him enjoy the show, lucky bastard. Yet look what that did to him. His poor heart couldn't take it. How is it my fault? There's no way our refined young master would. Shui Ruohua's face was red from anger. The redhead shook his head. Refined? You righteous pompous cultivators just love slapping each other with fancy words all for appearance's sake. I only said he looks refined normally while when crazy he's anything but human, quite the demon like me in fact. Did you know this same nice young master of yours had a taste of your junior sister Zine? What? Shui Ruohua and the girls watched Xian Xiaoyu with questioning gazes. All he could do was hang his head in shame. He went demonic, just as filthy as this demon. Shut up, demonic vermin. Young master will never fall for your schemes. He'd never make such a mistake. An elder shouted. Shui Ruohua and the others cried, Elder Yun, you're all right. There were 3 elders at Xian Xiaoyu's side, 2 in the 4th layer of the ethereal stage, and the other in the 5th. They all looked calm with their eyes closed. Elder Yun was the leader, reprimanding despite not looking. The redhead walked over with a smile. Old coot, I had tried so many times to tempt you old guys, yet only he fell each time. With all of us having a demon inside, sooner or later it will come out. Since Mystical Heaven Sect's young master is now a demonic cultivator, would that make Mystical Heaven Sect a future demonic sect? Ha! Preposterous. Young master is still too young and naive. While he may make mistakes, there is no way he will walk the same path to hell as you demons. He will not shame Mystical Heaven Sect. Elder Yun cussed. The redhead shrugged. It's all the same since Mystical Heaven Sect's tiniest stain will make it a laughingstock to the other sections, a righteous cultivator learning how to pluck his sect's sisters in fact. Tell me if that ain't funny, huh? The elders' beards shook in rage while Xian Xiaoyu just hung his head. Shui Ruohua looked at this young kid in pity and sighed. Chapter 6:18 Demonic. Chapter 6:18 Demonic. I've wasted enough time on some old buzzards. I'd rather enjoy my spring around lovely ladies, ha! Flicking his sleeve, the redhead sported his same old lustful smile. Now, who's the next pretty? Ha! The women were fuming mad, their hearts in their throats. The target of this sicko would lose her life and her innocence. The redhead's eyes slobbered all over Chu Qingqing's refined casing. It's the first time I, Yenemo, saw such a pure woman. I can't help myself and can't wait to enjoy it. Chu Qingqing had only a cold glare for him. A special woman indeed to not feel fear. Yenemo said. She shook her head. How can I when I know he'll save me? Who, that nobody? Just a 2nd layer radiant stage cultivator trapped in a dream? Give it up, huh? Yenemo laughed. Chu Qingqing had the same smile on her lips. You don't know him like I do. He never goes back on his word. Watching her pure smile from the heart mesmerized all present. Not even women could escape her charm. Xian Xiaoyu's heart stirred. Who is she talking about? Yenemo licked her lips. Angel face, you're really amazing. I just can't wait to have you. No, I won't turn you into a husk like those other nobodies. I will have you forever at my side. How dare you sully junior sister Qingqing with your mouth? Pa! Yenemo smacked Xian Xiaoyu in his place and into the wall. He crashed to the floor, bleeding from the mouth. Young master! The women cried. Yenemo sneered. Kid, I let you in on the fun, and now you grow an attitude to look at my woman? You can have anyone here, except her. You just don't cut it. Xian Xiaoyu glared back. Yen Mo ignored him and turned to Chu Qingqing with the same sickening smile. Darling, I won't force you. Though I bet you'll be begging me soon for it, hi hi hi. Yen Mo's finger had a tongue of flame hovering on the tip, with cyan and scarlet intertwining within. The women shuddered as their bodies warmed up and their eyes softened. Elder Yun shut his eyes. Meditate on your inner peace, don't let the flame control you. That's the rarest demonic flame, Yin-Yang Union Flame. It can control Yin and Yang, harmonize Tao and instill desire in one's heart. He used this flame on young master to make him become demonic. The others shuddered and closed their eyes, though the pained expressions and the heavy sweat told a different story. Yen Mo cackled at Chu Qingqing. Darling, see that? They're so far, yet can't help themselves. Yet you are right in front of the flame, your heart must be overwhelmed. Soon you will turn from a virtuous woman into a nympho. That's our cue for a night of good time in perfect bliss, ha! A shame that's not gonna happen. Chu Qingqing mocked him, sitting just as calm as before. Yen Mo took back the flame and cried, Why you have the empty spirit body? Chu Qingqing gave him a cold smile. The empty spirit body is said to be rarer than once 100,000 years. It can take all energies and null them. It is the best cauldron on earth. It can help others in practicing the most difficult dual cultivation arts by adjusting the yin and yang, a godlike dual Tao companion. Yen Mo's heart shook, then cackled, I struck gold. I was only looking for a bit of fun and found the motherlode. I'll dual cultivate with you my entire life. You will help me improve my control of Yin-Yang Union Flame to new heights and I can then fight Wu Qingqiu. Yen Mo threw himself at her. Chu Qingqing cried, Damn vile swine, didn't you say you won't force me? Times changed. I wanted your heart before but now I only want your body. Yen Mo's mouth split into a nasty grin. Mystical heaven sex people were powerless to help, only watching in anger. Chu Qingqing was worried as well. What the hell is taking that bastard Zhuo Fan so long? Whoosh! A sharp red glow shot for the deranged Yen Mo, pouncing on Chu Qingqing's exquisite forms like a guillotine, throwing him into the wall. Yen Mo's chest hurt, looking at Chu Qingqing in shock. Such a strong soul. It hurt my own, but I clearly sealed all your power. How did you muster so much strength still? Sorry, that was me. You got to give credit to who it's due. An easy voice came from behind Yen Mo. Yen Mo jumped around to face Zhuo Fan 100 meters away. He bore a smile of naked contempt and endless hatred. Zhuo Fan. Steward Zhuo. Brother Zhuo. Took you long enough. All of them were overjoyed. Shui Ruwa and mystical heaven sex disciples were happy as well. A ray of hope shone down on them. Our Lord Savior is here. Only the elder and Xian Xiaoyu looked on in doubt. Who's he supposed to be? Why do they take him as their savior? Then they saw Chu Qingqing's eyes filled with love. Xian Xiaoyu gnashed his teeth. So it's him. A flick of his finger called back the red glow from Chu Qingqing and Blood Infant was back in his home. Ha! Letting Blood Infant in Qingqing and using her as bait paid off. Oh, did our lovey-dovey scene get on your nerves? Zhuo Fan mocked Yen Mo. Yen Mo squinted. You did it just to spite me and force me into separating you so you could use your demonic creature in her to find me out and save them. As everyone I bring has their cultivation sealed. Ha, we got a winner. We knew ages ago you liked to mess around, so we laid a trap for you in the form of a play. I figured you don't like killing much, but instead toying with others, especially with lovers, and then killing them. Great minds think alike, I see. No wonder you're a demonic cultivator. Yen Mo smiled. How did you know I'll take the bait? Zhuo Fan rolled his eyes. Are you stupid or blind? A glance at Qingqing and all will be made clear. That lovely and beautiful complexion, who can resist it? Every man on this God's green earth would blow a gasket seeing us. It goes double to a playful imp like you. Chu Qingqing blushed and rolled her eyes, yet her heart was all warm and fuzzy. Yen Mo gnashed his teeth. Ha, nicely done, you're among the rare few that got me. I admit it. Though one more thing I don't understand, How did you escape the array? Setting a 7th grade array's nothing to it and using sacred stones on it is the same. Zhuofan showed a stone practically oozing spiritual energy. Fiddling with it and throwing it around, I can even set 10th grade arrays. As for sacred stones, let's just say you're not the only moneybag. What's so hard on using an array on array? Pop. It was the sound of eyeballs falling on the ground. The audience watched the sacred stone in Zhuofan's hand with stupefaction, especially the demon-scheming sex group. They all knew Zhuofan was loaded, but this was ridiculous even for him. Now here he was flaunting the stuff on their way to Double Dragon Gathering to fight for it. Talk about cruel irony. Chapter 619, Demon Versus. Chapter 619, Demon Versus. Imp Yen Mo showed a creepy grin. Ha, marvelous. There's actually a demonic cultivator from the lower 3 sects with a good head on his shoulders. Foiled at every turn, my game in shambles, and even expert in arrays. You'd be a rarity even in the superior 3 sects, then again. Yen Mo mocked. You can have all the brains in the world, the sharpest wit, the cleverest ploys, yet none will help you without the strength to back them all up. The best you could do with your puny cultivation is running away, yet you came for me? Your demonic creature might be somewhat special, even against an ethereal stage expert, but it's nothing to me. You came here to die, moron. Mystical Heaven Sex Gang's heart was in their throat in worry for Zhuofan. He held their last and only hope of getting out of here alive. Now no one would get the word out of their sufferings. The 3 elders sized the new guy up with a sigh. A 2nd layer Radiant Stage Cultivator won't stand a chance. He came to get killed. Funny how the only ones chilling were demon-scheming sex side, even sporting a cold smile. None actually got to see the full extent of Steward's mighty power coming to bear. Even killing Grand Elder's lackeys, he still held back. Oh, there was one other person who had blind trust in the man, Chu Qingqing, despite not knowing anything about him in the past few years. Oh, right, you never saw my real strength so you thought you could take me, reckless fool. Yen Mo cackled, feast your eyes on real power. Yen Mo's energy exploded like a flood. The ghastly aura sent shivers into the rest, even the venerables. A 5th layer ethereal stage expert. The fiends and elders paled. The first were overwhelmed. Someone so young could be so strong. The latter were depressed, finding he was no average cultivator at all to be coming from a superior 3 sect. Elder Yun of the same cultivation would bet anything he wouldn't stand 10 blows. On Yen Mo's back, 2 flames appeared, red and blue, turning into pythons that bit each other's tails as they spun around and released a strange vibe. Zhuofan's eyes flashed azure. Oh, a demonic flame, yin-yang union flame. So that's your crutch to all the arrogance. You can withstand its effect? Phased, Yen Mo frowned in worry. Instinct told him this 2nd layer Radiant Stage cultivator's unnatural calmness hid something far worse. It also baffled him how he could feel like that from an ant. Like how a lion met a viper, despite how clear the difference was, the first was on guard since the latter's venom could spell doom. The perplexity he found himself in left Yen Mo's heart quivering. I refuse to believe a Radiant Stage cultivator can threaten me. It's preposterous. Yen Mo took a deep breath to steel himself and roared, Punk, it's too late for regrets now that you've seen such might, Showing all your cards before a fight is the dumbest thing in the world. Man, you're naive. As a senior demonic cultivator, it is only decent of me to teach the younglings and steer them on the right demonic path. Zhuofan mocked. Yen Mo was fuming mad. You dare patronize me when you're the junior? Yen Mo shot a savage fire attack like a meteor shower, straight for him. Elder Yun sighed. This attack contains his soul. No Radiant Stage cultivator can withstand it. The kid is doomed. The women panicked, even as Fiend Yang's side laid back to enjoy the show. Bam! The fire scattered to nothing, revealing Zhuofan's light brushing and evil smile. How could this be? Yen Mo was on the verge of a meltdown. Elder Yun gasped in disbelief while the women froze in abject shock. Since when could a radiant stage cultivator take an ethereal stage expert's blow and live? Who the hell is this guy? Even Danner was slack-jawed at the sheer absurdity of it all. Haha, underestimating an enemy before battle is the worst fault a demonic cultivator can have. Did I mention you're naive? Making sure to point out with a wide grin, Zhuofan mocked Yenmo. Yenmo's brow shook, his teeth clenched. That was just a casual strike. Whoosh! Zhuofan flashed in Yenmo's face as his right eye flashed golden once. How when? Yenmo's heart was beating out of his chest, having not caught the slightest sign of how Zhuofan did it. Zhuofan made sure to stop any thoughts of elucidating as his punch came down hard and fast, right for the noggin. Bam! Yenmo put his hand up in reflex and felt a pain like no other searing deep into his bone, even as it still came for his forehead. Left with little choice, he put his other arm up. Much good did that do, still incapable of stopping this unrelenting force. This guy's body is a freak of nature. With no time to make use of his soul power, his body flashed with spiritual armor. Zhuofan's mere flick of the Qilin arm sent Yenmo bouncing through the air and smack into the cave wall. The cave now sported an extra breathing hole as the wall crumbled, 100 meters deep, through which the bright rays of the sun graced this eerie hellhole. Not that the others had a mind to even register the implication, too out of it to even twitch. A singular strike sent an ethereal stage expert careening through the air. Who the hell is this freak? Not even the superior 3 sects have someone like this. The elders were stumped. This is the disciple the demon scheming sect is taking to Double Dragon Gathering? This is too friggin' much. How are we supposed to beat that? Underestimating your enemy, yet still making up excuses for yourself. If that's not naive, I don't know what is. Flicking his right, Zhuofan smiled. Fiend Yang, just like we guessed, this guy's spoiled rotten, having always gotten his way. Just your average rotten, albeit talented, apple. As the true devil here, you should let the imp know what setback means. Hi, Fiend Yang snickered. Hi. The demon scheming sect's disciples laughed along. The bang cut their joy short though, as the rubble turned to ashes and revealed Yenmo covered in a flaming armor glaring at Zhuofan. He lost his mocking air, replaced by hatred. Zhuofan smiled. He's finally showing what he has. This should be fun. Chapter 620 Wrestling. Chapter 620 Wrestling. Whoosh! Yenmo jumped right at Zhuofan without preamble, packing a fiery fist just for his face. The immense power behind it and the burning sensation left Zhuofan understanding just how deadly Yin-Yang Union Flame was. So he blocked with his Qilin arm. While the fire punch was halted, Zhuofan staggered 10 feet. Yenmo's fiery fist took on another layer of flames, this time blue. The two flames combined and the power multiplied. Caught off guard, it was now Zhuofan's time to barrel through the air and splatter against the back cave wall, creating another 100-meter deep hole. The added rays brought more light into this now somewhat lit cavern. Yenmo watched the burning rubble with a cold eye. What was it you said, naive? The eyes of everyone twitched. Yenmo was like a stranger, calculative and fierce, without any openings. This is Hellion Flame's first genius, Yenmo. Elder Yun sighed in disappointment. He barely used a third of his power when he was playing around, but now he will hold nothing back in displaying his 5th-layer ethereal stage cultivation. There's no way that guy can take him on, no matter how much of a freak he is. We're done for. The women cried, mirroring Elder Yun's despair. Their hopes of keeping themselves intact were crushed with the fall of the rubble. Danner watched the expanding fire. Of the two demons, Zhuofan is a bit better. I hope he wins. The rest all hoped the same, despite the sheer discrepancy. They sighed at Yenmo's unnatural change, their faith in Zhuofan hitting rock bottom. Only the demon scheming sect's side kept a straight face. They were living testament to Zhuofan's power and savagery. Rumble. Zhuo Fan crawled out of the burning rubble, shaking his numb hand with a smile. Yin-yang union flame, fusing yin and yang resulting in explosive power. My Qilin arm almost couldn't take it. Young and childish, but he has some mentality. He flipped the switch to having a fight to the death and lost his tantrums on the spot. He is from a superior 3 sect for a reason. Guess I'd get serious myself. I won't live down being defeated by the same thing I preached. The shame would kill me, and he is far stronger than those trash elders too. Zhuo Fan squinted and an eerie aura surrounded him. Yen Mo's heart tensed, ready for anything. Despite the gap in cultivation, the feeling he got from him was nothing like any other fight he had. It was dangerous. I now consider you my equal, just like Wu Qingqiu. Yen Mo spoke. Whoosh. Zhuo Fan flashed in front of him and used his Qilin arm to claw his chest. Wraith style, second move, ghostly dragon claw. Roar. The draconic roar split ears and the flames on the armor were flickering before the strike even came. Yen Mo was startled. Not even an 8th grade demonic treasure can take his raw strength? Just what treasures does he have? He chose to trust his intuition still, no matter what doubts he had. Putting all his trust in the armor on the off chance that the kid would break it would mean certain death. Yen Mo jumped back while throwing red and blue flames. They combined with a bang and clashed with the claw. Boom! Zhuo Fan got swallowed by the towering flames. Yen Mo grinned, though unable to laugh as the claw ran the fire through and came right at him. He reacted on the spot by taking out 2 halberds. Clang! The screeching sound jarred his ears as he was barely holding his own from the eerie burning claw. Next thing he knew, he saw the towering flames dissipate, revealing a grinning Zhuo Fan. Yen Mo's only logical reaction, freak. He then jumped 100 meters back, to put some distance between them. High profound ranked martial art, Twin Dragon Devour. Red and blue flashed from the halberd as they combined into 2 yin-yang union flame-made flood dragons charging for Zhuo Fan. The same ranked martial art would show different effects depending on cultivation, and with Yen Mo's ethereal stage level the attack was backed by his soul power. However, there was no reason for Zhuo Fan with his heaven dragon soul to be scared. Devouring dragon? As if. Zhuo Fan scoffed, his body releasing black energy and turning into a dragon. Wraith Style's first move, soaring demonic dragon. Roar! Zhuo Fan's body clashed with the 2 flood dragons, resulting in a spectacular explosion. Zhuo Fan pressed the advantage, going at Yen Mo. Yen Mo shook, finding it hard to believe Zhuo Fan was so tough no attack could harm him. He had no time to even make a sign as Zhuo Fan pushed him back, using only his halberds to block the resounding blows. The cave flashed black and red all over as the 2 sources shifted throughout the cavern. Yen Mo relied on his yin-yang union flame while Zhuo Fan used raw power as the 2 wrestled for supremacy using arts or even plain blows. As the spectacle was ongoing, the spectators' minds were blown. How is the kid on the same foot as Yen Mo? Actually, he's on the advantage, coming to bear on Yen Mo. Elder Yun shook, his eyes wide as dinner plates for seeing something incomprehensible despite having lived so long while the women's hopes were rekindled. As for the demon scheming sex gang, they treat it as natural, even mocking the rest's ignorance. Quit your oohing. This is nothing. Say what? Elder Yun turned to them. Fiend Yang cackled in pride. Disciple leader Zhuo Fan is always modest and withdrawn. This is nothing. You ought to be praising Yen Mo for lasting so long. Guess he isn't just another gutter rat. Elder Yun was perplexed and snorted, don't get carried away. The kid may be somewhat great, but he's just in the radiant stage. I don't know how he can block the soul attacks, but he can't keep this up, haha. The women were even more perplexed. Elder Yun, Zhuo Fan is fighting for us. If he loses, we die. Shui Ruohua pointed out like a good disciple. Ugh. Elder Yun flushed. He always looked down on the demon scheming sect, bickering at every chance he got. A shame his mouth got the better of him this time when both sides were in dire straits. And picking faults with the demon-scheming sect now was the same as picking faults with himself when he ought to cheer the kid on. Crack. Meanwhile, the jarring noises stopped and the rest cried at the scene. Chapter 621, Soul Domain. Chapter 621, Soul Domain. Bam! With chips flying every which way, Yen Nemo watched his hands holding a halberd and a stick. Across from him was Zhuofan's red glowing right and a ridiculing smile. For God's sake, what is that bloody body made of to shatter a high-rated demonic treasure? Zhuofan's belligerent display of unbridled power had left everyone in awe. Even ethereal stage body cultivators could pull off what he did. My 9th-grade demonic treasure, my twin halberds. Yen Mo's morning got cut short as he heard whistling. Zhuofan's savage claw was relentless, scaring him into throwing the other halberd at it. After a clank, Yen Mo put much-needed distance between them, for his safety and his nerves. So that's why my armor shook before. It was warning me that this freak's freaky arm is ridiculous. What kind of body can even smash 9th-grade demonic treasures? Letting the claw land on my body will run me through armor and all. Zhuofan was coming again. His only way of flipping the tables was by using such a move that overcame the body, a soul attack. Not like Zhuofan would let him go through the motions of unleashing an art of such magnitude with how close he stuck. That leaves only one choice. Yen Mo chuckled. Sigh. As the best talent in Hellion Flame, I'm now reduced to using cheap tricks. It's all his fault for being so much of a weirdo. Yen Mo turned his back and flew down, his halberd aiming straight for Chu Qingqing. All were by themselves with worry. Qingqing. Chu Qingqing couldn't move for her life. She, however, had no fear, judging by that smile directed at the pursuing Zhuofan hot on his tail. Divine Eye of the Void's first stage, shift. His right eye flashed golden and bam fed right in front of her. Clang! Zhuofan flicked the halberd away and watched the ever-smug Yen Mo with a cold eye. Hi, I just knew it. You care about her. I bet the show you put on in the inn was more real than fake. Yen Mo snickered. Zhuofan said, as if, this is between me and you, not a fight for another to interfere. And I came here to save them. Where's all my respect go if I just let you harm them? Is that so? Yen Mo gave a taunting smile and gave his weapon a flick sideways. The wind blade struck home and a mystical heaven sex disciple wailed as he burned to ashes. Yen Mo mocked. You call this helping? Zhuofan's face was cold as ice. Hi, the more you explain the deeper you bury yourself. Do you think I can't tell you care about this one? When I threw myself at her, you could have bid your time and used the demonic creature to kill me in one strike. So why then did you choose to miss it? And don't tell me a mastermind like you would make such an elementary mistake. Have some self-respect. Yen Mo grinned. Zhuofan found silence to be golden. Chu Qingqing's eyes looked upon him with the sweetest gaze she could muster and a bright smile. Whoosh! The halberd swung, targeting Chu Qingqing behind Zhuofan, who squinted as he acted. It only worked to prove Yen Mo's theory. She's your weakness for sure. Now you're done for as you've committed the greatest sin for a demonic cultivator. While I like her, there's no way I'd let her drag me down. Whoosh! All his attacks targeted Chu Qingqing and Zhuofan blocked some, while others struck him. Chu Qingqing saw the dozens of wounds on him with pain, though she knew from his firm eyes that any urge to leave her would go unanswered. Nothing could change Zhuofan's mind. Yen Mo snickered in childish glee, using her to strike at him. It was now Zhuofan's turn to be pressed. The women were touched to the core. What a man, even a demon, he still remains to protect her with his life. How many righteous Dao companions are there who would do the same? Even the feisty Danner looked at him with different eyes. The fiends were panicking and cursing. Screw the broad and get your head back in the game by killing that prick. Free us, damn it. Zhuofan knew this was bad and his right flashed red. A relentless force came at Yen Mo, who sidestepped. Zhuofan used this chance to grab Chu Qingqing's waist and fly away to a safer place. Yen Mo wasn't going to sit by and let it happen. He came at him again, while Zhuo Fan deflected the best he could. Yen Mo hid feints and strikes among his moves so that a third would go for Zhuo Fan and the rest for Chu Qingqing. Yet he blocked every one of them. The rest watched in worry and shock. Zhuo Fan was holding his own in a fight while having someone in his arms. He wasn't backing down one bit. Mystical Heaven Sect's elders admired him, even more so as Chu Qingqing never had a scratch on her. Yen Mo was pissed though. He was using a woman to put Zhuo Fan into a corner, but the guy just wouldn't fall. Zhuo Fan could fight him despite all the chains around his neck. It went as far as making him look bad. That's the same as saying I'm useless. Sure, all demonic cultivators were devious and despicable. While the shame of losing was one thing, losing even as you tricked your opponent was even worse. The fact he was some big-shot talent only amplified the shame. Blast it all to hell, I was saving it for Wu Qingqiu, not this bastard. You're really getting on my nerves here. Yen Mo fell back and Zhuo Fan did the same, placing Chu Qingqing behind a barrier. Just as two flames came at him, Zhuo Fan dodged one and met the other with his ghostly dragon claw. As the light show died down, Yen Mo was found floating above, with the blue and red snakes biting their tails and spinning behind him, feeding on each other. The cave itself turned blue and red, growing hotter and hotter. Soul Domain. The fiends and the elders jerked. They figured Yen Mo was using Yin-Yang Union Flame and thus had a fire soul, or the snake circle behind was his soul. When in fact it was the worst move to take on, a soul domain. Just like Impermanence 5's vicissitude domain. In this domain one was God. Anyone caught within its range was at the whims of the user. Zhuo Fan's frown deepened at last. Even with the Heaven Dragon soul, he was fighting it out with an expert in the 5th layer ethereal stage. He had never tackled a domain to know if he'd come out on top. And to make it worse, Zhuo Fan glanced at Chu Qingqing. He wanted her safe, which became moot the instant the domain was activated, his worry for her mounting. Chapter 622, Heaven Dragon Soul's Might. Chapter 622, Heaven Dragon Soul's Might. Haha, didn't see this one coming, did you? My soul is the strongest soul domain. An ethereal stage expert's true power comes to bear only when his soul is revealed, and that is the soul domain. Yen Mo cackled with unrestrained pride. Everyone's lives are at my whims. You'll never keep her safe and fight me alone ever. You have no chance of winning. This is the difference between our stages. This is a gulf you can never surpass no matter how freaky you are. Zhuo Fan squinted, looking deep into Chu Qingqing's eyes as she did the same. All the captives here gave in to despair. Fiend Yang even shouted, "Can you leave with your soul?" Zhuo Fan's calm made Fiend Yang even more crestfallen. For even the cocky Zhuo Fan to be lost for words, it only showed how doomed we are. The others sighed in their sorrowful fate. It only fueled Yen Mo's ecstatic joy. The punk has no way of getting out. Yen Mo snickered, finding it his turn to mess with his opponent. Making a sign, Yen Mo taunted Zhuo Fan with a look, yet Zhuo Fan only had eyes for Chu Qingqing. Hi, that woman will be the death of you. You could have been attacked and stopped from making signs, but now, Yen Mo snickered, time to taste a pseudo-earth-ranked martial art, Yin-Yang Inferno. Zhuo Fan held Chu Qingqing close as the ground exploded from under them, with blue and red interwoven flames, swallowing Zhuo Fan in its torrent as rumbling explosions sounded off. Steward Zhuo! Sister Qingqing! Everyone cried out, powerless to do anything. The two colored fires were like a forge, chipping at their target. All were wallowing in despair their fate might be the same. Yen Mo was having a blast. Ha, idiot, think I'd meet you head on? This is my world and I can strike you from anywhere. Feel honored to be the first to die in this move I saved for the best talent in Western lands, Wu Qingqiu. Guess thanks are in order for such fine treatment, no? Yen Mo watched incredulously, the other's eyes lit up. To that Steward's voice. The inferno dispersed and Zhuofan holding Chu Qingqing stood there like nothing happened. With a grin on his face and 4 golden halos in his right eye. 100 meters around him the space rippled and hummed, annihilating anything and everything, even fire. Divine Eye of the Void's 4th stage, Space Crusher. Yen Mo twitched in disbelief. Impossible. There's no such thing. While you have a soul domain, I have my own absolute domain as well, of 100 meters. Nothing can touch me here, ha, Zhuofan mocked. Yen Mo gnashed his teeth in rage at the unexpected plot twist. He never heard of such a domain. The captive audience swung back from the pits of despair into the warm arms of jubilation. They were saved. Ah! Zhuofan jerked and found Chu Qingqing furrowing her brows in pain. Zhuofan saw her ankle bruised. The flames came out of nowhere and Chu Qingqing had to suffer for his late reaction. Zhuofan's bloodlust surged. No parlor tricks will save you from my domain. How will you fight me with a dead weight on your back? I'll kill you even if I have to exhaust you for dash. Crash. While Yen Mo was either showing himself off or giving Zhuofan credit was anyone's guess. Zhuofan Princess carried Chu Qingqing. Yen Mo blanked. Isn't it harder to fight me without his hands? While Chu Qingqing flushed. Zhuofan snickered, his eyes taking a crazed look seething with undying flames of wrath. You're wrong about something. While there's heaven and earth between us from the gap in stages, who's the heaven and who's the earth is far from clear. I can take your life anytime I want. The only reason you're still kicking is because you have all the advantages. As Zhuofan walked with Chu Qingqing in his arms, the space crusher moved with him. The flames parted ways, making way for the king on his mission. I didn't attack you in the inn so that I can find the captives. While in your array, moving was also complicated. And finally, there are too many people around to act as I want. Up till now, I was doing Hellion Flame a favor by sparing you, wishing to avoid a feud. And with so many around us, it was easy to implicate others. But now you've crossed the line. So you've been holding out on me? Yen Mo mocked. The way he saw it, Zhuofan was bluffing all the way. Who the hell is he kidding, barely defending while protecting a woman? He never believed it. Zhuofan shook his head. It's not holding back, but making it into a death match. I had no intent to kill you until now. What's the difference? Yen Mo mocked. Zhuofan's nasty grin resurfaced. I can waste you without lifting a finger. The prismatic dragon in his mind opened its eyes and roared. Zhuofan's power surged, releasing an undeniable draconic power upon the world. Everyone there gasped, with the ethereal stage experts sensing their very souls trembling. While Yen Mo's soul domain shuddered and threatened to collapse. This can't be. It was the unanimous reaction. Never had there been a situation for any of them in which their souls would bore such pressure. This radiant stage kid formed his soul. How did he do it to be so frightening? Zhuofan, with a stone-cold face, shot for Yen Mo while holding Chu Qingqing still. Yen Mo was outraged. You dare mock me? With a sign, the snakes behind him spun faster, blending the yin and yang fires that sent at Zhuofan like a tidal wave. Pseudo-Earth ranked martial art, bipolar conflagration. Zhuofan squinted as he charged on, his hands making a sign despite holding Chu Qingqing. Wraith Style's third move, Heaven Dragon Soul, Necro Dragon Screech. Zhuofan's surroundings exploded in a prismatic light, accompanied by a roar. The sound slammed into the firestorm, scattering it, before coming down on Yen Mo. Yen Mo couldn't believe his soul was so strong that even his martial arts collapsed. He rushed out of the way just as the sound wave brushed him. It slammed into the wall and threw it towards the sky. This was also the moment the soul domain fell. Yen Mo shook like a leaf. He really wants to kill me. He wouldn't have gone this far if he knew. Zhuofan was before him now. Despite that great skill he used just now, it didn't stop his assault one iota. Zhuofan was a beast intent on tearing him apart. Chapter 623, Rescue. Chapter 623, Rescue. Yenmo's eyes tightened on Zhuofan's ever-nearing form. While his hands were busy holding a beauty, the threat wasn't any less as Zhuofan's furious retaliation was still fresh in his mind. A freak among freaks, even with his hands tied. He's right, we really are worlds apart. This grand talent in Hellion Flame, for the first time ever, admitted he was beneath someone. Something he could never do before the best genius in Western lands, Wu Qingqiu, but against this storm of rage before him, he felt like a bug. There was only one thought that took over his mind: escape, the farther the better. Yenmo turned his eyes on Chu Qingqing, his only weakness. His eyes flashed and pulled a dirk, throwing it at Chu Qingqing while he made a run for it. Figuring Zhuofan had to use his limbs to save her, buying him enough time. Zhuofan's anger soared, his right eye shining golden. Divine Eye of the Void second stage, Void Annihilation. Whoosh! Clang! Something shot from him to the dagger and went on for Yenmo. The danger woke Yenmo up from his delusion, shifting to the sight by instinct. The attack brushed his skin, taking it away and making him grimace. Zhuofan didn't let him enjoy the pain, still hugging Chu Qingqing and still coming at him. A prismatic draconic tail up and sprouted from his back, sweeping at Yenmo. What the hell is his soul form? Why so big? Yenmo felt like swearing. Zhuofan was so enraged he wouldn't give Yenmo a moment to catch his breath. He wouldn't have picked on the broads if he knew there was such a crazed beast among them. Yenmo felt like crying, with no choice but to use the two snakes to block the incoming tail. The yin and yang flames united and formed a shield. Bam! The huge draconic tail slammed into the flaming snakes, erasing them from this world. Next came the howls. These two snakes didn't even last a second and the tail smashed into its intended target, Yenmo. The splitting headache resulted from his injured soul, spitting blood. Zhuofan was only getting started. Flicking around, the tail scraped the cave wall before it came for Yenmo buried in the wall. He howled in pain as the tail left him in tatters. With another swish of the tail, the cave top blew away 10 miles, mountain and all, before coming down crumbling. The hot sun above spilled its glorious warmth on the frozen faces of every captive. He can blow up mountains if angry enough. They all witnessed how a deep mountain cave turned into a valley with the slightest gesture. But the savagery on Zhuofan's face, hovering there above them, left them gulping. He's worse than Yenmo. How is he from a lower 3 sect when he's as strong as Double Dragon Manor? All saw Zhuofan as nothing more than a godly beast sent from the heavens above, demon scheming sect included. Is this his true power? This is no longer abnormal, but godlike. Zhuofan had no mind to care about extras, still as cold, as furious, and as determined. He put the tail away and landed gently before letting Chu Qingqing down. Then the azure flame circled her head 3 times and Chu Qingqing found she could move. She gave him the sweetest smile, finding him the same man no matter how atrocious he was. The kid's seal was complicated and needed time to deal with it. No wonder he's from a superior 3 sect. At Chu Qingqing's soft gaze, his chilly face deflated, though awkward. Chu Qingqing nodded, smiling, true. Then she changed topics. The others are sealed as well. We should help them. She rushed forward only to wince at the next step, forgetting about her injured ankle. Zhuofan helped her down, holding her soft calf in his hand as a sizzling azure glow healed her wound. Zhuofan used the Heaven Dragon Soul again. Since it was made of 10 Earth Dragon Souls, the power of the returning dragon's roar was within it. You should look after yourself before thinking of rescuing others. Zhuofan looked down as his hand held the dainty foot and the azure glow healed it. Chu Qingqing was very happy inside, nodding, I know, I won't make you worry again. That's not it, I was just... You don't have to say anything, I understand. We each have our paths that sometimes bump into each other. Chu Qingqing smiled. Zhuofan kept healing her with utmost care. Yet for some odd reason he took his time doing it. The shocked masses around the lovely couple were now speechless about how the duo sank into their own little world. Rolling his eyes, Fiend Yang snapped, "It's just a flesh wound. The pill will do. While we got our cultivation sealed and can't even more. You should be helping us first." "Yeah, master, if we can't move soon, we might never get the chance again." Kuei Gang laughed. The rest laughed with him, even mystical heaven sex girls. Even those with a bad disposition for demonic cultivators found Zhuo Fan in high regard. All because of his devotion to Chu Qingqing in keeping her safe from any harm. He was the living wet dream of every girl. Zhuo Fan shrugged, awkward, and Chu Qingqing giggled. Only Xian Xiaoyu gnashed his teeth at the lovey-dovey couple. "I'm fine." With her delicate foot safely down, Zhuo Fan smiled and went to unseal Fiend Yang and company. Stretching about, they had odd smiles for Zhuo Fan. Next came mystical heaven sex turn, who was just as grateful. Shui Ruohua's opinion of him soared, while the elders looked at him like he sprouted a new head. The thanks never came, not when they dreaded the Double Dragon gathering where they'd be meeting this same monster on stage. They even thought of getting rid of him once and for all. Though they didn't act on it, recalling his savage fight with Yen Mo. Who are we kidding? They couldn't beat Yen Mo yet wanted to take on a monster far worse than their kidnapper. Elder Yun jumped. "What of Yen Mo? I reckon he should be in the rubble 10 miles out. The attack of mine must have sent him there with the mountain and everything." Zhuo Fan blurted. "He acts like it was nothing." Elder Yun ordered, "Someone get Yen Mo back here. If he gets away, he'll give us revenge we can't handle." "Yes." Shui Ruohua gave a deep bow and took some disciples to the Ruble. 6 hours later, they came in a panic. "Elder, there's no sign of him." "What?" Elder Yun's countenance changed for the worse. "That you're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.